over your guys' counter.
I never knew that.
They were very pushy with fentanyl.
And my partner at the time was just sleeping so soundly. Like, fuck off.
The hardest part about all of this was carrying around 2 babies that were dead inside me for 3 weeks.
She said, we can't put the catheter in. I'm like, why? And she goes, well, his head is right there.
I lost all control of my body. The only thing I could do was smile. And so I just smiled and I just laid back and I couldn't sit
I
up.
wanted them to just shut the fuck up and leave me alone. The thing that was very frustrating for me was instead of helping me reach my goal the way I wanted to, they were just like, oh, you're in pain, we can give you drugs for that.
So yeah, definitely go ahead and get drunk and bring your friends up to the hospital room where our son is dying.
Birth stories. So when I gave birth to Maya, my ex was fighting with me and he wanted to go out to the bar. And so I had a feeling, it was a couple weeks early. I think it was like 2 weeks early, right? I think so.
Pretty close, yeah.
Yeah.
Because it was, yeah.
But I had this feeling. I was like, I just know something's going to happen tonight, whether it be I give birth or, like I just had this weird feeling. And so I was like, please, please, please don't go. Like I was begging him and he was like, no. And he left anyways. And so I was like, I just had this anxiety. I was like, I don't want to be alone. So I went over to Brandy's house.
It's important to tell them what you told him if he left.
Oh, yeah.
If he left, knowing
I said,
you're pregnant, knowing you give birth.
If you leave and I give birth tonight, you will not be there. Because I had a feeling. And he would do this all the time. He'd like start a fight. He would start it just so he could go out and drink or go hook up with someone else or whatever the reason was. And then,
she said, if you leave me here all alone again, knowing I could go into labor at any moment, if I do go into labor, I'm not going to call you.
And
he fucking left.
He said, if you do that, you will regret it. It'll be one of the worst things you ever do.
Do you regret it now?
Wait for
the
breakdown.
Yeah. So basically, I go over to Brandy's. I'm sitting on her counter. I'm bitching about the whole thing. I'm all pissed off.
We lived
It was
together,
when you
right?
guys
You weren't
together,
there,
yeah.
though.
Oh.
I don't know. You were
where
probably
she
at
was.
OTB or something. I don't know, but she wasn't there.
Yeah,
Anyways.
but it was late at night.
You
It was
probably
like
out with your friends. Yeah.
Fuck up. I swear to God.
Well, I don't know, because it was dark, but it was also winter
it was like
time.
9 or 10 at night.
Yeah, was it that late?
Yeah.
I remember going late, but...
And anyway, so I'm sitting on top of your guys' counter, and I'm telling Brandy about all this stuff that just went down, and she's like, oh, he's so stupid, blah, blah, blah. We're just, like, going back and forth, and then all of a sudden, I feel this, like, weird feeling, and my water breaks all over your guys' counter.
I never knew that.
Okay, but we didn't know what it was
bad.
either.
I didn't know what it was, yeah. So then
I never knew that.
we went to the bathroom, and we were, like, looking, and I'm like, just look at it. Like, what is it? Is my water breaking? Because it was coming on so slow.
It was more like a tear.
Yeah. And she's like, I can't tell. I don't know what's going on.
We're like Googling it.
As one
does. It wasn't
does.
the gush. Like, you expect in the movies it to be like the gush.
It almost looked like she was
not.
like peeing herself.
But it was clear.
We were like.
How did you not know?
We just
We
didn't
never
know.
knew
We never
what-
had kids
Guys.
before. Like, we didn't know what to expect.
She was the first mom, yeah.
Yeah, it's true.
Yeah,
Yeah,
and so, anyways, we figured out that that's probably what's going on. I drive myself to the hospital.
I offered.
Yeah.
I offered.
I
Did
don't
you
know
ride with
why
her?
I chose to
You were just like,
drive.
no, I can. And I was like, are you sure? And you were like, I'm good, dude. I got this.
Huh. But,
Well,
We went and picked up.
and then we called my ex's mom, and we were like, because I was really close to her, and I was like, this is what's going on. And she's like, I'll meet you there. Do you want him to know? And I was like, no. And so she was always really cool about stuff like that. So she shows up. We're there. They check me for the amniotic fluid. Decide that it is the amniotic fluid. My water's broken. So then I go back. And then the contractions started. And they were very painful.
They'd been started.
Yeah.
You couldn't feel them.
No, she came in and she said, do you know you're having, or she was like, are your contractions bad? And I was like, I'm having contractions?
Yeah.
She was like, yeah.
She's like showing us on the chart, and she's like, you don't feel that? And Court was like, no.
No.
She was
And
like, okay.
I was like, I'm going to do this naturally. Like, cool,
great.
And then they got bad, like really, really bad out of nowhere. And I started breaking down, and I was like, I want him to be here. And so we called him, and then he showed up, and
Shit-faced drunk.
yeah, that was embarrassing and stupid, and I had all these emotions about it, but I couldn't say anything, and
Starts bitching at her.
yeah, he was
Well,
mad at
she's
me.
7 centimeters.
Bitching? Yeah, he was mad at me for some
Why
reason.
she's actively in
Oh,
labor.
because I waited to call him. That's why he was mad. I waited a couple hours before I called him to be there. So, my
I
fault.
can't.
I know.
Yeah.
I take the blame.
Gee,
Anyways.
where were you?
Yeah.
Where were you again?
Yeah.
You chose to be somewhere else when your wife is how many months
It was okay
pregnant?
because his mom was the one who called him and
Mine.
ripped his ass.
Oh, yeah. You're out there fucking drinking. And, like, she was so mad. But anyway, so yeah, he shows up, he's mad at me, whatever. And then the contractions got really, really bad. And I was like, can you guys give me something for this? Like, it hurts so, so bad. And so they were like, sure, fentanyl. And I didn't know what that was.
Oh, I did fentanyl too.
Yeah, dude. Oh my gosh.
It
And
helped.
so, not me.
It really did.
No, so basically, I lost all control of my body. The only thing I could do was smile. And so I
She
just
was smiling.
smiled. And I just laid back and I couldn't sit up. And I just laid there and laid there. And then all of a sudden, here comes Brandy and my ex. And they go, can we go outside and smoke a cigarette real quick? And dude, I couldn't move. I had to muster all the strength I could. And I was like,
You're like,
but
yeah,
it made
dude,
me
I'm
so
good.
mad though because I couldn't move. Like it was like paralyzing me almost. Like,
Really?
I
I
never
did not experience
ever want to do
that.
it again. Yeah, it was so bad.
I was maxed out on fentanyl and I was still asking for more.
Oh my god, no, it was
Not
ugh.
that I condone fentanyl by any means, but
Yeah, it was too much, way too much. I could not move, dude, for like probably 30 minutes. And then came back to, started feeling it again, and I got the epidural. I don't know. A lot of it I blacked out. I don't remember
Yeah, they gave
much.
you the fentanyl while you're waiting for the epidural.
Okay.
yeah.
And then yeah, then I had her, and then he had a bunch of people come in to see us, which I was like super uncomfortable with because, you know, just went through labor. It was a lot. And then yeah, all his friends come in, and a lot of friends I didn't even know, and they're just like, let me see your baby.
Yeah, I know all about that.
And that was before COVID too, so you know, like everyone was just coming in and out, and he's
Yep,
super
I
extroverted.
know.
I was super introverted, so like here's all these people.
Well,
and
it's
I'm
such a
like, fuck.
vulnerable moment for
Yeah.
you to like have just given birth. Like, ugh,
Yeah,
I know
It was just-
exactly what you mean.
Friends coming in to see you, like, no, that's stuff that waits until that baby is at least a couple weeks old. You don't
Yeah.
just come in and see a fit out baby when it's just some rando friend or your buddy's friend. Like, no.
Yeah,
No.
Yeah, inappropriate.
yeah.
On so many levels.
And then what? A couple weeks after that is when he strangled me and I left.
And we were hiding out at our house, and if there was a car behind us, we'd literally go, like, we
Oh,
wouldn't even pull into our
God.
driveway. Remember, we'd go around the block.
Oh yeah.
If there was even a vehicle behind us, we would go around the block.
There were
again and
people-
again until there was
remember-
nobody there.
So we lived in a way sketchy part of where we live. We would have random cars like park in front of our house
Oh,
too
yeah. There
that
people
were
followed
completely
me all the time.
unrelated, and we would be freaking
And that was
fucked
when I
out.
was strapped, dude. So
Oh,
I'd be
yeah.
fucking out the window.
Dude,
My
yeah.
pistol, dude. Like,
I just sent you
who's
on
outside
Snap
right now?
Yeah,
memories
picture
of
Maya.
baby Maya. It's so
Yeah.
different.
Yeah.
You know how some babies look like really similar as like Memphis to me looks very similar as a newborn to where he is now. Like I see so many things.
Yeah,
Maya to me looks
Maya
so
was a little
different.
alien frog
Yeah.
baby.
Yeah,
And her
she
skin
was
like a lot darker when she was little.
She was
doesn't
the
look that
first-
dark now.
Yeah, and she was the first baby
Mm-hmm.
of all of ours.
Yep.
Yeah.
And that was like
Remember
I
that
remember
eye thing she did where she like roller eyes?
Yeah, that was the
I think I have a
freakiest shit.
video
She was
of
the
that
only
shit
baby
too.
still that
Yeah.
I've seen did that, dude.
Yeah, I've never seen that.
Mm-mm.
Another.
We were like, what are you
She's
doing?
having a seizure.
Dude, yeah.
There, I think I
Maybe she
have
was.
a snap from my memories from this day years ago, and she was doing that, and B like had her, and I was
Yeah,
recording,
I
and she was
remember
like, "Oh my god, what are you doing?" I think I
I
have
still
that
haven't
snap.
seen, like, my babies didn't do that. Like, I've never seen
No,
baby do
Ryder
that,
never
dude.
did that. That was weird.
That
George,
was
she's my bestie.
Yeah, she's in
her
love
and
with
I
me.
are like
Abby
best friends.
because Abby's not there yet.
Yeah.
What? Oh,
Like,
I
that night when you weren't there
know.
yet. Yeah.
Her and I need to have a little date.
She's always asking when she's going to go to your house again.
Oh, really? Oh.
And she says, and Aunt Courtney takes good care of me.
Oh, she's so sweet.
She
dude.
never talks about me like that.
Well, Maya
She
doesn't
tells
talk
She's
me
about
like,
that
Aunt
shut
Abigail
the
makes me
fuck
clean up my
up."
own eggs that I
Yeah.
threw on the fucking kitchen floor. And I do.
Aunt Courtney, like, don't worry about it, honey.
I'll
She's
get
like-
it.
The dog will get it later.
Someone will get it, dude.
I don't know.
Eventually.
I'll take Maya, and then you can take Nyla,
There you
and
go.
it'll be fine.
Yeah.
And Maya and I will watch K-pop Demon Hunters on repeat
Oh,
because
hell
I'm
yeah.
obsessed with that shit now.
It's good.
Dude, Nyla introduced me to that shit. I'm so
You don't
obsessed.
like it?
It's so good.
Honestly,
It's
dude,
so
I didn't even watch it because I
cute.
was like, this shit looks so lame. I really don't like the
I've never-
animation.
I didn't.
And
like
then
the
finally
animation.
one day I'm just cutting them with the kids, and you get hooked on the
Yeah.
storyline, dude. You gotta
Dude,
figure it out.
it's
You're like,
good.
oh shit, dude.
I'm like, okay.
Movies, poor demon.
That was my pregnancy with Maya, and then with the writer, obviously, it was a lot different because I was with Joe.
You have a healthy relationship now.
Yeah, and so when I went into labor with Ryder, so at the end of both my pregnancies, I was like super itchy. I don't know if I was having an allergic reaction to being
Weird.
pregnant. I don't know.
To being pregnant.
Pretty much, because it was like both times, like the last like probably 4 or 5 months maybe, I was just like so itchy. I take super hot showers. I wanted to peel my skin off. I would like burn my tongue while I was like brushing my teeth in the morning. Like I just wanted like
That's so weird.
to not itch and to be hot so that I wasn't itchy. I don't know. With
Okay.
Maya, they had me take Claritin and it worked, but with Ryder, it didn't work. So I don't know. I was up late. It was like 1, almost 2 in the morning, and we were sleeping on the couches at the time. We did that a lot as a family. I don't know. Joe's dog died at one point, and then we all just like, when she was sick, we were like sleeping in the living room with her while she was dying.
Mm-hmm.
And then after she died, we just kept sleeping on the couches. And so, yeah, I don't know. We just kind of like slept on the couches for a while. It was super weird, but it was like just our comfort. And I think just like the tension knowing I was going to give birth soon and that like our lives were going to change.
Mm-hmm.
It was nice to just be in the living room, like close to the door, and just like, I don't know, it just felt like nicer than our room. So we're sleeping on the couches. I'm like super itchy. I'm rolling around the whole night. My stomach's massive. I'm just like so uncomfortable. And I get up to where like my knees are on the couch and I'm huddled over like this. And I'm just
Oh,
like,
no.
I can't fucking do this anymore because like I'm so itchy. I'm in so much pain. Like my hips hurt. And then all of a sudden, dude, it literally was like, pop! And it fucking just...
Your water broke.
Yeah, it broke.
Ooh.
And I was like, oh my God, I heard it. And I didn't know
Did
that
you
could
feel it? Like
Yeah.
in your pelvis?
I could feel
It feels
something.
like a
I don't
water
remember.
balloon.
Yeah.
Just breaks.
No kidding.
Yeah, it's super weird. But yeah, it made a noise, and I was like, what the fuck was that? I thought I fucked something up because of the way I was positioned. I was like, I just killed him.
Oh my God.
I'm like, I fucked up.
That's crazy.
It was so loud, dude. It was freaky.
You heard it?
I heard it. Yeah, it literally
I
was
heard
like,
mine was Memphis. Yeah.
Shut up.
Yeah.
Did you hear yours? Oh my
Oh,
God,
okay.
you
I
guys.
didn't know
Yeah,
that.
you hear it.
Maybe I should have another kid just to experience this shit.
So then I get up. I had bought diapers beforehand because I've had a kid at this point. Like,
Yeah.
I know what to expect. I know there's
You're
gonna be
prepared.
everything afterwards, the bleeding, you know, and everything. And so, side note, when I bought the diapers, Maya called me a diaper head, so that was fun.
How old was she?
She was 5.
Okay, she's 5.
Yeah. And so, anyways, I go to the bathroom. I get a diaper on. It's a lot this time. It's not like with Maya. There was like a lot of water. It's amniotic fluid. It's all over the floor in the bathroom. So I wake
Hold
Joe
on.
up.
Side note. I don't know this, but that's what your water breaking is amniotic fluid.
Mhm.
Your
Isn't
water
that
breaking is that's when you go into active labor.
Mhm.
Oh, fuck.
That's
okay.
like the
And that's why you
final
only have
last
so
stage
much
right before you
time
go into
because when
labor.
all the amniotic fluid's gone, you have to give birth.
Oh,
And
fuck.
that's because
Oh,
that's
I
what they
didn't know.
survive in the uterus. And so
Mhm.
like when Courtney had the tear with Maya, you get a leak. If you get just like a leak, a little dribble, you have like just like a slight tear in your
Huh.
in your
Mhm.
amniotic fluid's tearing. And then when it bursts and breaks though, it's like just pouring out.
I wake Joe up and I'm like, hey, my water broke. And he goes, oh yeah, okay. Falls asleep. I'm like water broke. Wake up.
I'm giving birth.
Yeah, he's such
All
a
over
heavy
the floor.
sleeper. Yeah. And I'm like, wake up. I need to go to the hospital. And he's like, huh? And he like gets up. And so then, yeah, we go to the hospital. Well, we dropped Maya off with his mom and then we went to the hospital. And I was like, this time it's going to be all natural because like no fentanyl, none of that
No
shit.
fentanyl.
I didn't even want the epidural
Drugs.
because I know that has fentanyl in it, which I didn't know beforehand.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, and so
God,
I
I'm
was
learning
like,
so much.
I'm just not doing any of it. And so I asked for the nitrous oxide. That shit does not work at all.
They told me that they were not supposed to do that. The
Oh,
nitrous
really?
oxide, yeah.
No, I asked for it because I knew it was like an alternative to the pain medications. And they were like, we only have one in the building. Let me see if it's being used. And it wasn't. And so they
Mhm.
gave it to me. And so I'm sitting on this exercise ball and I'm like doing it and it's not working at all. Like every breath I take is in this fucking mask and it just doesn't work. And then I had this feeling that and I was already hooked up to everything. I just had this feeling of like I needed to run. There was so much like pressure on my hips, and it was like if I don't freaking run, I'm gonna die. And I couldn't run because I was hooked up to everything. Like, oh my gosh, it was intense.
That's so interesting.
Yeah, and so then shortly after that, I was like at a 9, and I was like, I was in so much pain, I just couldn't do it anymore. And I had told them the whole time, no epidural, no epidural. Every time they came in, I was like, no epidural. Oh, and that time too, side note, they always check usually for the amniotic fluid, but there was so much that they didn't even check. They didn't even test it. They were like, yeah, you're giving birth, and they just sent me back. Like, they did not test to see if it was amniotic fluid. Yeah.
I hate that amniotic fluid test.
I know, because it's like, I know I'm in labor.
When you're in labor, dude, you're like, oh, do you want to find out
like,
what that is?
Let me test.
I don't even
see.
know what that is, you guys.
So
I've
yeah,
never
like
even
when
heard
your
of that.
water breaks, they like want to test and see if you're just peeing or if your water has.
Oh,
part
sure,
of getting admitted.
okay.
Yeah, whether they're gonna admit you into labor and delivery or not.
Yeah,
they
and
have
so
to
like
confirm
you
it's
know
weird.
when your water breaks,
Oh,
but they're
it's
always
the
like,
worst shit.
let me check, and they're all slow about it and shit, and it's like, oh my god. But yeah, no. Anyways, they sent me right back, and so yeah, I'm going into labor. I'm at like a 9, and then I started thinking about how the pain was going to get even worse when like the ring of fire happened, and I was like, I can't do it, like I can't. And so I was like, I'm gonna need the epidural, and the nurse was like, really? You said no the whole time. I'm like, I'm gonna need the fucking
And how
epidural.
far were you?
I'm trying,
I was at a
shy.
9.
Yeah, dude, you almost had it.
You're good.
So then
You could have done it.
I could have done it, but then I was like, oh, that ring of fire, I can't. I could
could've.
not take any
Wait,
more
what's
pain.
the ring of fire?
It's when their
That's
head
when
is
they
like
crown.
crowning,
That's when they come out.
and that's when they say women are like in the most amount of pain.
Then your
because
skin is pulling.
yeah,
ring of
you
fire.
can tear, and yeah. I'm like, I'm maxed out for pain, I can't do more, I need the epidural. So she's like, seriously? Like, you've been saying no? And then, so there were like 9 scheduled C-sections that day, all at the same time as me. And so the anesthesiologist,
You got a C-section?
No, but the
Oh,
anesthesiologists
okay,
all
gotcha.
had to
Yeah,
be doing like the C-sections. And so they were like, we are short-staffed on anesthesiologists. So this guy comes in.
Oh, no.
And he goes, hey, I'm the pinch hitter for anesthesiologists, which I didn't know what that meant at the time, thank God. So yeah, apparently in baseball terms, that's like the dude that sits on the bench, who doesn't play.
Oh my
And got
god.
called in for me. And so Joe's like, shit, because he knows what that term means.
Yeah.
So he's shitting a brick, and I'm like, okay, here we go, my pain's gonna
like,
stop.
He's like, great.
And so he's sitting there watching, and the dude like pokes my spine. He goes, that's not it. Pokes my spine. That's not it. Dude, he just kept.
Are you serious?
Yeah, it was so bad. So then finally he gets it, pokes me, goes, okay, I think that's right. Joe was like freaking out. He's like, give me the fucking needle at this point. Like, I will put it in, because it was so. He was just poking and poking, dude.
Shut up. I can't
It
listen
was
to that.
so bad,
I can't hear that.
That's how you get injured.
Yeah, so he finally got it.
Can you go paralyzed from
You
a
can
fucking...
get a lot of injuries from epidurals,
Yeah.
and people are not educated
And you
on
have
it.
to sign waivers and stuff because
there's so many risks that come with
I
it.
signed all that shit and had no idea.
Yeah.
I knew, that's why I didn't want to get it the second time. But dude, I couldn't take the pain. And so, yeah, so like they do it and then it doesn't work.
Shut the fuck up.
Fucking do it right, dude.
So then at that point, I'm like already.
Was
at
any
a
part of your
10.
body numb?
So not when I was like giving birth. It kind of started to go numb. It like didn't work while I was starting to give birth, and then it like it was weird. So like
my life.
What helped was that I had restless leg syndrome. It like gave me restless leg syndrome, and so the whole time I'm giving birth, it felt like I had to like kick my.
Oh no! What?
Yeah. And so I was focusing on that, and that's where my pain was. You know, it was like in my legs, and I was like, oh, I just want to kick them.
Oh, Court,
but like
no.
it didn't hurt as bad, and then it started to go numb a little bit, and then yeah, Ryder comes out and a little 7-pound old little one. So then yeah, after he was born, I had this like feeling, well, like everything, like I was like super super dizzy. The whole room was spinning, and like every time I looked around, like everyone was blurry, and I just had this like feeling of like intense panic. And I remember I like looked at the nurse and I was like, am I okay? I don't feel good. And she was like, what? And I was like, I feel like I'm gonna die. Like, I don't feel okay.
No.
And she was just like looking at me, and she like called some other people in, and they were all like looking at. I don't remember everything that happened or what they were doing, but like
out of it, huh?
Yeah. So she's like trying to figure it out, and these 2 other people come in, they're looking at me, and I'm like, am I okay? I don't feel good. And they're like giving me juice, and they're like trying to get me like. They're like, maybe your blood sugar is low, and like, dude, I literally was like, I'm gonna die right now. It was so scary.
After?
It was right after.
You had the
And I
placenta
think
yet or
what
no?
happened, I don't know if I had the placenta or not. I know there were no complications with it, but it was like,
But did you have any blood loss?
nope, there was no problem, none of that, no hemorrhaging, like nothing.
You just felt
I
dizzy?
think it was because of the epidural. I think I was like drugged up and I
Jeez.
wasn't in pain anymore.
Oh,
And so it
you were
started
just, like,
working.
whacked
I
out.
think I was fucked up. Yeah. And so I was all shaky. I was like, and I mean, I was shaky the whole time because like you get the
like the
shakes when
trauma.
you're, yeah, but oh my God, I was like, I'm gonna
You
die.
should have gotten that fentanyl. You wouldn't have felt that.
Yeah, I would have just fell asleep. But no, after that went away after like 30 minutes. I was like, okay, they gave me some food too, and I was like, good. And then some food in case my blood sugar was low. Yeah. And then yeah, it was good. And then we took a little baby boy home, and now we have a little family. And another funny story, Dr. Heeb, is that her name?
Yeah, that's her doctor.
Well, I had Dr. Merrill.
Okay, he was another one.
Okay, so yeah, she was the other one. We stayed that, I think we were just there that whole day. I can't remember, but like with the circumcision, they went to do it because we decided we would do it. And then, which I was kind of torn on, but I was like, whatever, we'll just do it. And so then she comes in and, well, this one nurse comes in first, this male nurse, and he goes, we may not be able to do it. You might have to come back in 2 weeks because sometimes they schedule you to come back in 2 weeks to do it because like the skin's it's not like, it's just not ready. I don't know.
Okay.
But a lot of times they'll schedule them out to like 2 weeks later, and I was like, I don't want to do that. If we do that, like I'm not gonna have it done. I don't want to do that. And so then Dr. Heeb came in, and she's like, okay, like I took a look at him. There's enough skin there that we can do it. I'm not worried about it at all. I've done like tons of these. It'll be fine. And so I'm like, okay, cool. So she goes, does the circumcision, brings him back in, goes, okay, we've never done it on one this small before.
Oh, poor baby.
I know. And so Joe and I are always like, oh, that's the joke we're gonna have to tell when he gets older.
Oh, poor little guy.
That's
But
sad.
no, he was
He's
fine.
fine.
I had no idea.
Yeah, he recovered fine from it. It was no big deal. And
That's pretty
yeah,
funny.
she was nice, so I liked her. She was cool. But yeah, those were my birthday stories.
How you became a mommy.
Okay.
June 8th, 2019, 1 week early because his due date was June 16th, which was Father's Day that year and his Tupac's birthday. So I was really hoping he'd be born on June 16th. Came a week early. Both my kids came 1 week early. Right before I had him, I had gone to my last appointment. I was 3 centimeters, 90%. And I found out at that appointment that he had the umbilical cord around his neck 2 times. And so I thought it was really weird when we walked into that appointment.
How did you find out at that appointment?
We went into that appointment, and I don't know if, like, maybe my fluid levels, if something was off, because I just went in for my last appointment, and then they randomly asked if we wanted to do an ultrasound. And we were like, sure, like, we'll see the baby, basically, you know?
Mm-hmm.
And so that was our 3rd time having that tech, and she was really weird that time, like, really quiet. She was way different usually, like, really talkative, really upbeat, and she was just really quiet. And I'd always been worried about his cord from his anatomy scan, because at his anatomy scan, when we found out he was a boy, his cord was looped around his shoulder, and I just always remember wanting him to shrug it off. And ever since I saw it, it was like looped over his shoulder like a purse, you know what I mean? Like a loop over his shoulder. And I never stopped thinking about it the rest of my pregnancy. And when we went in, they asked if we wanted an ultrasound, and I had said, where's his cord at? Because I was always worried about it. She goes, oh, it's just kind of everywhere. And wouldn't really talk to us. We go into the other room, and my OB tells me, okay, so I want to let you know he has 2 nuchal cords. And I'm like, what does that mean, nukes? Like, I don't know why we're talking about nukes right now. She's like, so nuchal means neck. I'm like, he has 2 necks. Like, he's a umbilical cord coming out of his neck. Like, what are you telling me? And she's like, so the cord's around his neck 2 times. I'm like, you could have said that from the beginning. So, she stripped my membranes, which is done to try to send a woman into labor. And then she scheduled an induction. And so I think my appointment must have been on Thursday or Friday. I think it was on Thursday because I had him on Saturday. The soonest they could schedule me for an induction was Tuesday. It was as soon as they could get me in. And I did not want to be induced because I wanted to do an unmedicated birth. And I thought that being induced would throw that out the window. So I started trying to send myself into labor, and I did this with both of my children, and
I remember you
whether
telling
it
me that.
works or not, it's like hard to know really, because every woman's so different, every labor is so different. And a couple of them are wives' tales, and a couple of them are like scientific facts, I guess, of what I did to try to send myself into labor. And I just had a few different methods. And I was using one of those methods, which is just to simulate breastfeeding, when my water broke. Yeah, so that was on Saturday. My water broke at 8 p.m.
Mm.
And I was laying on the couch reading an old article from Snoop Dogg from like 1990, whatever, after he beat some murder charges. That's what I was reading. And I was laying on my side, and it felt like a water balloon popped inside my pelvis, and I heard it and I felt it. I mean, loud. And I sat up and I said, Memphis, what the heck was that? Because he was the only person to talk to. Because I was all by myself.
Because where was your baby daddy?
Because my kid's dad was trying to find his cell phone. So,
yeah, where?
well, I'll get to that in just a moment. I sit up because the only other person to talk to is my infant who's still in my womb, and I say, Memphis, what the heck was that? And I heard it and I felt it, and I go running to the bathroom and I just sit and wait, and then finally it starts gushing out. You're the first person I called. And I'm like, I think my water broke. I'm sitting on the toilet. Then I called Shawnee because I think I was trying to put off calling the strip club because my kid's dad didn't have his phone, so I had to call the strip club because that's where he was going to look for his phone. So I call the strip club and I'm like, hey, is there this dude? And I describe him, and I'm like, he should be there looking for his phone, and I can't get a hold of him because he doesn't have his phone because he lost it when he went to the strip club. So bad. So I need you to let him know if you see him that my water broke, and I need him to come home and take me to the hospital.
What a call to get.
So thankfully, I hadn't packed my hospital bag yet, because why would I have that done?
Yeah.
So I started doing that, and I remember being super calm. I'm like super calm, super chill. He did have a roommate who was living in the basement, which is really good. So I ran down and told him, hey, like, I don't know really why I'm telling you this, but my water's broke and Tyler's not here. And yeah, dude, I don't know, but there you go. And
that's so fucked
he's
up.
He's freaking out, dude, and I'm just like calm, packing my bags, you know. Finally, my baby daddy pulls up in the driveway, and his friends stand at the door like, yo, dude, you gotta go. And my baby daddy has no idea what's going on. He's being so unserious that he's like fucking around, like hitting the gas and hitting the brakes, like laughing and shit. And he's trying to tell him, like, your wife, your girlfriend, whatever, is like in labor. And he was like, oh shit, finally, whatever. They make sure the car seat's all hooked up and stuff. My water broke at 8. My contractions were immediately so intense that I never timed them or anything. And we lived right by the hospital. And after we'd been there for 3 hours, so at 11 o'clock, they checked me. And I was told that I was 5 centimeters. When I got there, I was 4 centimeters. So after all that, and I thought I was doing so good, I was like, we're getting so close. And they were like, you have a minimum of 5 to 6 hours of labor left, because that's what's normal for first-time moms, approximately a centimeter an hour.
Oh, wow.
So you've got a long time to go. And I told them when I got there, under no circumstances do I want fentanyl or any other drugs. I'm going to attempt to do it without an epidural. If I want an epidural, I will tell you and I'll ask for one. Don't offer me any.
And they offered quite a few times, didn't they?
They were very pushy with fentanyl, like super, super, super pushy
I wonder
with
why.
fentanyl, and it pissed me off.
They probably get money
and I was
from
getting
it.
pissed because I wanted them to just shut the fuck up and leave me alone because I'm in labor and I'm in a lot of pain, and I want you to. And that's also, I think, something that was very frustrating for me, was instead of helping me reach my goal the way I wanted to, which was to have an unmedicated birth, they were just like, oh, you're in pain, we can give you drugs for that. And I told them I don't want any drugs, don't even offer me drugs, I don't want them. And instead of finding ways to help me, they were just doing the thing I asked them not to do. So that was also really annoying for me. Thankfully, I ended up getting a different nurse, Sam, and she was great. And she's the one who told me I was 5 centimeters, and then I had 5 to 6 hours left. And then about 20 minutes later, I thought my butt was falling out. Because
I remember this story. This is
because
great.
when you've never had a baby before and you can feel everything, and you're told you're 5 centimeters and you're not going to give birth for another 6 hours, and then all of a sudden you feel something coming out of your body, it must be your butt. And that's where you feel the pressures on your butt, you know. And so by this point, 11:20 p.m. I'm butt naked. I have no clothes on. I was getting in the shower. That was how I was. Part of my pain was I had a deep breathing thing that I was doing, and then innately my body just wanted to be in the shower. Like with everything I had in me, I needed water on me, and that was what got me through both my labors. But yeah, 11:20 p.m. I'm standing butt naked, dude. I got one foot on the toilet, one foot on the ground, and I'm freaking out, thinking that my butt's falling out. And I'm like, you better call for the nurse because there's something coming out of me and I feel like I need a push. And so she comes in and I always laugh because I'm like, she had to have been so annoyed walking down that hallway. 20 minutes later, I just told this bitch, and it's the first time, Mom, she's going to have me in here every 20 minutes because she comes in nonchalant, like, you called, and I look at her and I am wide-eyed, dude. Like, I am going, like, out of my mind right now. And I make direct eye contact with her. I am butt naked. I have my hand on my butt, making sure it's not falling out, okay? And she says, he said, it feels like you need a push, and I lock eyes with her. And I'm like, it really feels like I need a push. And I start pushing, and she's like, don't do that. You gotta come, let me check you, all this stuff, you know? So then I let her check me, and she goes to check me, and she can't because my son's head is in the birth canal, and I'm just giving birth, which was great. Because the cord is around his neck 2 times, and my OB slept through the phone call. She was on call specifically, air quotations, for me on that day, and she wouldn't answer the phone. So then they called a man who I'd never met before. I had a female OB, and I wasn't very comfortable with having a male doctor. He was phenomenal. He was a phenomenal doctor. He did a wonderful job. No, because this was in South Dakota.
Oh,
Dr.
yeah,
Vigneri delivered my daughter.
Okay.
This was Dr. Ballard, though, and he was phenomenal. I didn't tear with either of my kids. And with him, like, I could tell he knew what he was doing, because when I was giving birth to Memphis, he was literally like, okay, stop, okay, go, okay, stop, okay, go. And for people that, especially if you haven't, like, felt everything, to try to not push or to stop pushing when you are, like, literally giving birth and the baby's, it's the most impossible feeling.
Yeah.
But yeah, he helped me to have a really good delivery. And my son was born with no complications. The cord was around his neck 2 times, but it wasn't tight. He never lost oxygen or anything, and his monitors were always good. And I remember with him, pushing was actually the most relieving part. Like, it relieved all the pressure and all the pain. I just wanted to push because it made everything feel better.
Yeah.
And when he crowned was obviously super painful, but, like, instantaneously, as soon as I had him in my arms, I was in, like, no pain. Like, I remember just being good to go. I was alert. Like, I was aware of everything that was going on. And I was just happy. And we always had this joke that, like, the whole country heard when Memphis was born because that little boy's got some lungs on him, and he always has. And he was so loud. And I was really thankful that my dad and my stepmom drove over from Wyoming.
Just moving.
And then I have some not as good memories of just being alone and stuff in the hospital, so that's fine. I'll just skip over that.
But you don't need to skip over that.
Yeah.
That's what this is about.
Well, so yeah, then I ended up just before my dad arrived, my kid's dad stepped out for a break, which ended up taking several hours.
A break as in, what do you mean?
He told me he was going to smoke a cigarette, and then he came back like 4 hours later, I think it was. After my dad got there, and all the nurses like, oh, where'd he go? Where's the dad? Where's dad? Where's dad?
Your guess is as good as mine.
Went to the parking lot. He'll be back any minute. 4 hours later. Yeah, so anyways, there's some hard memories associated with that, but I had my sweet little baby boy, and I was so very happy with him, and he had a little bit of a cone head, because they literally were making me wait for the doctor. He's in my birth canal, and they're calling a doctor to wake him up out of bed to come deliver a baby. So
I have a picture of Maya, dude, and her head is literally like,
yeah, Memphis had a cone head. We called him like Akhenaten. If you've ever seen Akhenaten, the ancient Egyptian pharaoh.
oh my god.
I do not think he looked like that at all.
That was our joke, dude, because he had such a cone head, little Akhenaten, dude,
funny.
with his little noggin. And he had a lot of hair, a lot of thick black hair. Yeah, he did, and a hairy ass little back and a hairy little butt.
Remember how hairy Maya was?
Yeah, she had a little
gorilla.
unibrow from ear to ear. Yeah, and her hairy little ears.
And her back, remember I put her on me, and her whole back was like covered in hair, and we were like, is that normal?
Yeah, super hairy.
Yeah.
And neither of my kids were jaundiced at all either. I actually remember them telling me with Memphis he had extremely low bilirubin levels, which is what causes jaundice when they have too much of that. And then with Nyla, little Abigail saved the day because I had her and Casper during COVID. And so I was really alone for that because there was, during COVID at our hospital, you could have like one partner, basically your partner, whatever, one main visitor, and then one additional visitor. So 2 visitors a day. That's it. You're one main person and then one other visitor outside of that, and no children allowed. So my son was not allowed to come meet his daughter or his sister in the hospital. That one was a little different for me because I had the same thing. I was basically stuck at like 3 and 90 for 2 weeks. And he had told me that I couldn't carry over 40 weeks. So I had one more week. I was 39 weeks. And then if I didn't go into labor in one more week, I'd be scheduled for an induction. So to avoid that, I did all the same methods I did with Memphis. And I was in labor the next morning. And so with that, with Memphis, it was different because I never had like intense contractions that made me wonder if I was going into labor. My water just broke and I was like immediately in labor. With Nyla, I had started having contractions around like 1, 2 in the morning to where I was like trying to sleep and they were waking me up out of my sleep. And then I started timing them and they were consistent. And I was like, oh my God, like, is this what it's like to go into labor like this, you know? So I wake up and I clean my house and I do the dishes and I'm like sweeping.
Typical.
And I'm just like doing chores. And it was around like 3 or 4 o'clock in the morning. So I did my eyebrows and mascara and I put my hair up, probably just like in a ponytail or a messy bun or something, just like however I made me comfortable.
I think it was a messy bun.
And then I called Abigail and I told her I think I'm going into labor.
I was working at Starbucks at the time.
And she wasn't quite up yet. She was like, so I call her because she was like, yeah, call me. I'll be the one to come. I'll come watch Memphis. So I call her like,
no, I was at work because I had to be to work at 4 a.m.
The very first time I called you, you were not at work yet because I called you and said, I think I'm going into labor. Here's what's happening. I'm having these consistent contractions.
Always a reliable
friend. And Abs goes, okay, I've got like 30 minutes left till my alarm goes off. So
no.
Yes, you did.
That was when I was at work.
You were at work. I called you back at work. You asked, can you call me back in like 30 minutes because I'm not quite up yet for work and I've got like 30 minutes.
I love my
And then we made a plan. You'd go ahead and go to work. And then I would call you at work if I was actually pretty sure I was going into labor and you'd see if you could leave.
Okay, I believe that.
Was,
I totally believe it.
When you were at work and I called again and said, okay, yeah, like I'm for sure I just told Tyler not to go to work.
That was at like 6:30 in the morning.
That was when you were like, okay, can you give me however long so I can do this and that?
I totally believe
Let me check with Nyla. I'll ask her and see if we can hang on.
And you did. And you did hang on that long.
And then all of a sudden, for like 30 minutes, I told him not to go to work. I asked her to leave work and come to my house. And then all of a sudden, I didn't have a contraction for like 30 minutes.
Oh my God.
Like I was having consistent contractions. And then all of a sudden, for a half hour, no contractions. And I'm like, oh my God, this was just so stupid. I mean, you guys should just go to work. And I was wondering, because with Memphis, my water just broke. With Nyla, now this is my second baby. I'm having these contractions, but my labor is already way different than my first one. And I'm having this like dripping and it almost feels like maybe I'm peeing, but I can tell I'm not. And I'm like, is this what a tear is? And I'm trying to look like, is this amniotic fluid? And I totally had a tear because it's just like dripping a little bit. And then finally I go upstairs. I'm telling them I'm not sure. Maybe I made you guys waste work for nothing. And then all of a sudden my water broke. And I was like, yep, there it is. And then I knew. And I remember my water broke at the top of the stairs. I made it to the bottom of the stairs. And by the time I got to the bottom, I would turn to talk to you. And I was like, oh, there it is. And I grabbed your hand and I went up on my toes and I was like, motherfucker. And that was my first contraction. Got to the hospital. They're like, are you in labor? Obviously. And yeah, I had her in 2 hours and I'm pretty sure I almost had her on the bathroom floor because again, I tried telling them once I went to the shower, I said there's a lot of pressure on my butt because I thought they would know what that meant, that my baby is like dropping into my birth canal is what I thought it meant. And they just laughed at me. So I went to the shower and got in. And I'm in a lot of pain and I'm doing all my things. And I'm like, I'm pretty sure she's like dropping into my birth canal. That's pretty much what it feels like. So I'm going to go tell them. And I go tell them and they're like, you're 7 centimeters and you have probably hours of labor left. And I was like, I probably don't. And my kid's dad tried telling me that Dr. Vigneri did not deliver Nyla. And I'm like, yeah, he did. And he got mad at me and was like, I was there. It wasn't him. And I was like, how many times before and after that did you ever even meet him? because he was not on my OB appointments and stuff. You know what I mean? I'm like,
No, you had
no,
Sheridan, right?
no,
Or
I had
no,
Dr.
you did have
McNary. And he
McNary.
tried telling me a different doctor came in. I'm like, you're thinking of Memphis's. And he was like, no, like, got mad at me. So I just stopped talking about it because I was like,
Oh my
dude.
God.
Anyway, they were so confident that I was not about to give birth that they were letting him prepare to go into surgery with another woman.
Oh,
Because they tell me I'm 7 centimeters, that I probably got 3 or 4 hours left. And I was like, no, I don't. And so I go get back in the shower. And then I was psyching myself out because I knew that she was in my birth canal. And I was like, well, she just told you she wasn't. I should have just checked myself, honestly. I should have just checked myself. I would have felt her.
Yeah.
Because I'm like squatted. I'm doing a deep squat all the way down because that pressure, when you squat like the way that I was in the water, that pressure just relieves so much of that pain. There's just something, whatever the way it changes the pressure, the way you're sitting, takes so much pressure off your pelvis and your hips. It's such a relief. And then I would breathe through that. And I was telling myself she was in my birth canal, and then I was telling myself she wasn't, and literally that I was just being a pussy and that I was just being weak. And
you told yourself that?
yeah, that I was just like,
yourself.
you're just not being tough. You're just being a baby about it, dude, because she just told you she's not in your birth canal, even though I could feel that she was. Because the pressure, it changes more from like a pressure to like more of a pinch. Like you can feel it. It's as if now your bones have something in them. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
And then finally, I literally told my kid's dad when I'm waddling back to the thing, I said, I need them to check me because I really feel like I'm about to just push her out and
Mhm.
that she's about to come out. And if that's not the case, I literally told him I'm just being a pussy and I'm going to have to get the epidural. And he goes, you're not, you're fine. You probably know what you're talking about, whatever. And I get up on the bed, and the same nurse who just checked me probably 5 minutes prior and told me I had 3 hours left couldn't check me because my daughter's head was there, and she was like, I'll be right back, and darts out into the hallway,
Oh my God.
darts back into the room, and said, your doctor is sprinting down the hallway right now to come get you. I'm sorry, he was prepping for surgery for another patient.
Oh,
And they
shit.
come in, and it was really different with her because with Memphis, I had mentioned that pushing with him was the least painful part and the most relieving part.
Mhm.
Pushing with Nyla was the most painful part.
Oh my God.
Interesting. I
And it
wonder
was so
why.
painful that I stopped pushing. I always remember you
Oh,
telling me that with
yeah.
Maya and that your mom had told you that. I should have
Yeah.
stopped pushing. And I was like, that's crazy. With Nyla, I was in so much pain. She was crowning. And I think my doctor was trying to assist me a little too much, was to me what it felt like.
Mhm.
That he was putting too much pressure on me was how I interpreted it at the time.
Mhm.
And I was just, I don't know why I didn't say anything. But instead I was just like, I'm done. I'm
She
done.
checked out.
I can't push anymore. And it hurt so bad. And I remember everybody yelling at me and telling me to push. And then my kid's dad probably whispered some stuff in my ear. I remember him telling me, like, you just got to focus and you can do this.
Your dad or who?
No, my kid's dad.
Oh.
And I told myself the only way I was able to do it, it hurt so bad with her. I literally told myself the only way to make this pain stop hurting is to finish
Get it out,
pushing.
yeah.
Mhm.
And so I pushed one more time, and then it was done. And then it was different again because with Memphis, immediately pain relief, immediately alert, felt great, felt clear-minded.
Mhm.
With Nyla, I thought I was gonna pass out. I felt super wacky out of it. Because even when you don't get drugs, all women, we have our natural endocrine system, all of our hormones, everything.
Yeah.
You still are doped out. Like if you
Your
look at
endorphins
if
and
you look
stuff,
at
yeah.
a woman in labor, you look at her eyeballs, it's pure pupil because of the natural drugs that your body is producing. Your
Mhm.
pupils are huge. You are high on your body's own drugs.
Mhm.
So you are all kind of
Yep.
loopy and out of it. You feel like you're like drunk almost, right? Like on some sort of something. You're on something. You are not sober when you're in labor, even
Mhm.
without drugs. But this was
Yeah.
like past that. This was, I felt not even lightheaded. I felt out of it. My head felt really heavy, like I was just gonna fall down.
Yeah.
I'm like I couldn't keep my eyes open, and my vision was like I was having
That's
black
how I
in my
felt,
vision.
dude. It was weird.
But I didn't have that with Memphis. It was with Nyla, and then you were the one who told me I was probably hemorrhaging because another thing that was different, and I think this was the cause of it, was I remember feeling way out of it. And even when they put Nyla in my arms, I was in a lot of pain. Like I just remember in my uterus feeling just pain. Like I felt exhausted. I was in so much pain. My whole body just all over felt that way. And I remember holding Nyla and wanting to enjoy her, but I was so
Mhm.
tired and so in pain. And I was worried I was going to drop her because I just didn't feel right at all. And then they grabbed my right leg and they put it straight up in the air. and they told me
Weird.
that my uterus was not clamping down and I was
Yeah.
losing too much blood, and we're going to stab whatever drug into your thigh. And then they said, okay, and I didn't even feel it.
You don't know what drug it was, though?
It was to stop her from hemorrhaging, right?
It's whatever. There's an intramuscular drug that's administered to your
So,
thigh when
could
you're
you have-
hemorrhaging after birth.
Was it, like, scary in the sense that you could have almost died?
It was scary in the
or-
sense that I didn't realize what was going on until much later.
Oh,
And then I
okay.
realized what was going
Not
on.
until
and how
I told you.
Yeah,
that's
until
what
you told
hemorrhaging-
me.
They didn't tell
Because
her
I
that.
was
Yeah.
just telling her how I felt.
Well, they probably didn't want you to
And then
get
I was
freaked
like,
out.
yeah, I was like, it was
Yeah.
which is
really weird
understandable.
because they didn't do this with Memphis, but with Nyla, they just took my leg and they told me that I was losing too much blood and they stabbed me. And she was like, oh, you were hemorrhaging. And I was like, what? And she was like,
But
yeah.
did they stab you?
Yeah,
Yeah.
they gave me
Oh,
a
they
shot in my
did end up
thigh.
giving
They
that
literally
to you.
put my foot up in the air and they said, you're losing too much blood. Your uterus is not clamping down. We're going to administer this drug to you.
Oh.
And then they just stabbed me in the thigh. I literally didn't feel it. I just remember like I was out of it, dude.
my
I felt like I was going to
gosh.
pass out. My vision was like blacking in and out. Even when you look at the pictures of me, I'm super pale, dude. Like I
Mhm.
did not look good at all.
That's crazy.
Like the fucking one picture that exists. Yeah. And then, and so my kid's dad was there for both my births. He had to go smoke a cigarette after Memphis was born. And then when my daughter was born, his really good friends called and they needed milk. So,
the milk.
I
Yeah,
don't know that I'd
'cause,
even
yeah.
delivered the placenta yet, but he's a really good friend. So he left me so he could go pick his friends up and take them to go get milk.
Mhm.
And, that took about 6 to 8 hours, I think.
And he maxed out your card, right?
And then, and then my last little tiny paycheck I got was he went ahead and spent that for me. So that was really thoughtful.
Milk-
Milk's
Considerate.
expensive nowadays.
Milk is
Even
expensive.
then,
Yeah.
even in 2021,
2022, yeah.
22?
COVID.
Yeah.
People
you know
are
those
desperate
prices were
times.
crazy.
Mhm.
Desperate times. And then I remember being
I
in
wish
tears,
I had a friend like that.
being in tears when I left the hospital because he was whatever. It was just this whole
Wait, so
stupid
did you
thing.
leave without him, or did he come back before
Well, I
you
didn't
left?
have a car, so
You had to wait
and
for
I
him.
couldn't have, and I didn't want. I wanted my son to come, and when they told me my son couldn't come, I didn't want any other visitors
Mhm.
because I also think I had pretty bad postpartum depression with my daughter, which I did not experience with my son.
Mhm.
But by the time I had my daughter, I'd already gone through kind of that birthing experience the first time, which I really didn't want to have to do again, and he did it to me a second time, and I just been living in like really negative, abusive circumstances for a lot longer at that point by the time I had her. And then I think being left alone again in the hospital was really emotionally damaging for me. I was having a hard time transitioning to being a parent of two. That my baby boy wasn't my little baby boy no more. I had another daughter. That's hard.
Mhm.
That's
Yeah.
hard when you become
Yeah.
the second time for me. That was hard. You don't just have your little baby no more. Now you have two babies, and now
I
your
was always
first baby's
really
all
scared
grown
of
up.
that. I was scared that I wouldn't be able to love two kids at the same
Yeah,
time.
it's sad because it's like an end of an era with your first child,
Yeah.
you know, and now you have to share your love and attention.
So both of my babies are with my husband, so I'm lucky in that sense that both of my kiddos are have a wonderful, amazing father. Anyways, 2019 was when Bo Bear was born. I think my due date was August 16th or 18th. Well, just in like, as in your head, you went through the pregnancy and you kind of have that feeling. I thought he was going to be born on August 10th, and he ended up being born on August 8th. I didn't have any complications throughout my pregnancy with my husband was working at a coal mine at that time, and so he was working regardless of if he was on a night shift or a day shift. He was working 7 to 7, so either 7 in the morning, 7 at night, or 7 at night, 7 in the morning. So he was on a stretch where he was working, but actually that day he ended up being in a training, so he actually wasn't like he was actually able to have his phone. And the whole last probably week and a half of my pregnancy with Bo, I was very just kind of lethargic and tired. And at that point, I would stay at home. I wasn't really doing a whole lot. So I was taking lots of naps. And I remember I had taken a nap on the couch, and I got up, went to the bathroom, went pee, and then went and sat back down on the couch. And I sat down, and I didn't feel anything. I didn't feel a pop. I didn't hear a pop. Nothing. I just sat down, and all of a sudden I was like the best way I can describe it is when you were on your period and you feel the flow of your like you feel, and but yeah, it was like I was like, am I peeing my pants right now? I was like, what the fuck? Like, I just went pee. But with that being said, there have also been times where I didn't pee all the way.
Hey, I've been there.
Yeah, you know, and then all of a sudden you're like,
I still have that happen.
I guess, you know. So I was like, okay, maybe that's very. So I went and I sat back down on the toilet, and then yeah, I could just hear dripping and feel the dripping and everything. So then I texted Brandy. And I was like, don't, you know, like, I don't know 100% yet, but I'm pretty sure my water just broke. Pretty sure. And then I'm pretty sure I also called Brandy then at that point. Brandy, did I call you?
Yeah.
Do you remember? Yeah. Okay. So I was pretty sure. I called B. I explained everything to her. And then I kind of started to feel like the tightness in my stomach. And then I was timing and just tiny itty bitty contractions. I don't remember how far apart they were at that point. So then I did text Randy, and I was like, okay, definitely, I believe my water broke. I'm having contraction. Mine was a 30-minute drive from our house. And so I live in Craig, Colorado. I won't go to, I won't go to the Craig Hospital because they'll just finish it off for. So we go to Steamboat. Steamboat's a much better hospital, but everything. Steamboat is like an hour, just over an hour drive from my house. And this was at 4 o'clock p.m. when my water broke. I believe somewhere around 4. So then by the time we got to the hospital, it was like 6:30ish, I think, something like that. And they did all the tests and amniotic fluid and all of that, and death and fever. And I'm like, yes, I know. With that being said, I did not do any research. I did not watch any classes. I did not do. I didn't. I also, though, growing up the way I grew up around livestock and cows and wildlife and everything else, I've seen birth a million different times. Haven't experienced it, but I've seen it. Have enough knowledge of my own body so in most people's terms, I was very unprepared. Did not have a bag until literally like Randy, that my water's breaking, and so I started packing a bag and everything that I needed. Got to the hospital, and I told them absolutely no medications. Medication, don't want an epidural, don't want fentanyl, I don't want any, nothing. This was right before COVID, and my mom was there too. Later, because I did tell her my water broke because she was actually in Sturgis bartending, I believe, at that time. Anyways, I by the time she got there, I was still in labor. So from the time, let's see here, I was probably in like active labor for a total of 23 hours, I believe. My
That's so fucking crazy to me.
Yeah.
My contractions were anywhere from 30 seconds to 45 seconds to 90 seconds for over half of my labor. So I can literally remember, like, in between contractions, whether that was a 30-second break or a 90-second break, I was falling asleep. And I mean falling asleep. Like, I wasn't just like dozing off. Like, I felt like sleeping for 30 minutes, and it was for 30 seconds.
Oh
like, it was a feeling of like, because I had talked to B at this point, so I at least knew, okay, if it starts feeling like you need to poop, So I started feeling the pressure and everything, and my doctor's like, you're not fully dilated yet. It's not time. And then I tried to wait a little bit longer, and finally I was like, no. I was like, there's no way. And my doctor even started to recognize it too. She's like, yeah, I don't, she's like, I'm just going to have to probably stretch you a little bit. And then she's like, yeah, pushing can take anywhere from, I don't remember their time frame. They said something like 30 minutes to an hour or whatever. And I was like, hell no. I've been in labor for 3 hours. If you're telling me I can push, I'm going to start freaking pushing. And I think I had Bo out in like 3 pushes.
Jesus.
Like it was a total of maybe 5 minutes of pushing. Like, well, I mean, and again, like B said, like when you're big, it feels good. And with that being said, I'm a very strong human. I did not do Kegels or anything like that. But with that being said, like I'm just, I'm yeah. I got him out. Very quickly. Everything went good. He was super healthy. No jaundice, no bruising. So yeah, that went good. We were only in the hospital. I got him circumcised, so we had to wait for the circumcision and everything, and then we were good and got to go home. So yeah, that was Bo Bear. He was pretty good. And then after Bo, I always wanted my kiddos to be about 2 years apart. So we started trying again right around 2 years, actually. Like maybe right before 2 years, I got off my, I think I had the IUD. I had the copper IUD. Being non-hormonal, I can't have anything hormonal. And it took, I think a year and a half before I got pregnant again. And, we went in for my first appointment and found out that I was pregnant with twins, and which was completely mind-blowing because there's no history of twins in either my family or Randy's family. So that was at my 8-week appointment. They found out that I was pregnant with the twins. And the doctor's like, well, we don't have everything that we need here, because it was in Craig. Steamboat has a little Craig outreach. So they said they need to schedule me for Steamboat. Then they said, we'll just schedule you for 12-week commitment in Steamboat. And in my head, I was like, I don't understand why we don't try to do more, or why can't you just look more? Like, we're already here. You can already at least see them, But they didn't. They literally just saw that I had twins, and that was it. Like, they were like, oh, nope, can't do it here. Got to go at Steamboat. So then I waited. It was about a week after that appointment, I started to feel off. My morning sickness was gone. I just felt gross. My appetite came back to a point where it was like the thought of food wasn't disgusting, but eating made me sick. So there was like some certain things going on that made me feel off, and I was like, something's not right. So then when we went in for the 12-week appointment, and the doctor is sitting there, and I'm watching the ultrasound. I don't totally know what I'm looking for, but what I'm looking at, I'm not. And then the doctor's not talking. She's not saying anything. She's just looking and looking.
That's the worst.
And she's her,
feeling.
doing all of the, and then, yeah, that's, I mean, like, that, like, we're not stupid. We can see and feel that everything has just gone very.
There's that shift. There's that shift in the air. I feel like you just know as a mom, as a parent, you just fucking, yeah, you feel it.
That's crazy.
Oh my God.
So she's like, well, there's no heartbeat in this one, so we're gonna check the other one, and there's no heartbeat in the second one. And at that point, I was 12 weeks, and this was like right before Thanksgiving, and so she gave me my options. But at that point, she said I could have taken the pill. I had 3 options. I could take the pill or whatever that makes you abort. I could let it go and let my body abort. So that I hadn't gotten any
for your body just to naturally expel the pregnancy.
I didn't have. My body was not trying to get rid of them. My body was not trying to expel anything yet at that point. They measured and that they passed away probably at about 10 weeks.
Oh my gosh.
No, like 11 and a half weeks, I think is 11 weeks. They had, it was 11 weeks, I think, or something like that they measured at. So anyways, they'd already been dead for a week. And this is right before Thanksgiving. And she's like, well, Or your other option is the DNC or whatever, where they
Yeah.
have to actually, it's a procedure where they go in and they essentially like suck them out. And so I was like, well, what are I don't know much, So she's like, well, with the pill at this size, that can be quite painful. She's like, and also sort of traumatizing, considering you're going to see the fetuses when they expel.
Ugh.
And she's like, and then if you let your body continue, she's like, I worry because for one, your body hasn't started the process yet. For two, you're this far. For three, there's two of them. So she's like, if anything were to go wrong, and she knew my lifestyle, she knew like this was all during hunting season too, by the way. So
Busy time of year for Shy.
so like,
Yeah.
she's like, she knew my lifestyle. She's like, I don't want you to be out on a mountain somewhere and have this happen and something go wrong and you're not able to get to a hospital and you end up bleeding out. She was very honest with me,
So,
So I was like, okay, because I think that's the best way. I think that's the best thing for me. And
what
so,
was your thought process as she's telling you this?
Me being me, I was worried about Randy, honestly. I already knew something was wrong. I already had that feeling before I even went into the appointment. And Randy's face and Randy, I just my biggest thing at that point in time was I could see Randy's pain, and that was more devastating to me than the actual losing of. It's weird, and I think maybe it's just Mother Nature's way of essentially preparing a mom, or until that baby is in your arms and physical and everything. It's not that there's not a love. It's not that there's no excitement or no love or anything. But and yes, I was devastated and I was sad. But it was I also have this, what's meant to be is going to be. And this just wasn't meant to be. It wasn't to be for me. And so, yeah, when they're explaining, it's mostly my biggest thing was I could see it really eating at Randy, and I could see how hard it was on him.
What were you thinking though?
It was just literally what was going through my mind. What I was thinking was that this wasn't meant to be. That was literally my head. I'm
like a spiritual conviction on the circumstance.
Okay. I definitely blamed myself a little bit.
I was gonna say, did you feel guilty
I
or anything? That
it'd been my fault of hunting season. I was pushing my body very hard. There was actually, it was probably about a week after, or a week before I started feeling weird and off. I had guided a guy on an elk hunt, and the pack, the walk out, getting out from where we had gotten this elk and everything, and our walk out was atrocious. I've been doing this my whole entire life, and I was throwing up the whole entire way out because of how bad this walkout was. We were walking up a 2-mile mountain that a slide. It was a slide. It was a mud slide that we were walking up, and it was so. I mean, there's no vegetation. It was bad. So, anyways, I still even to this day wonder if that's not why. Everybody tells me no, it's not my fault. That's not what caused it. Blah blah, whatever.
Well, I understand that thought process, though.
I don't know how to describe my thought process. My thought process
I get that.
What's meant to be will be. What's not. I will figure it out. I will make it work. I don't know how else to describe my thought process.
I feel with any trauma, it's normal to look within and kind of blame yourself and see, well, if I didn't do this or that,
what could I have done differently?
Yeah. Absolutely. What could I have done differently?
Well, and with anything like that too, you have to have a reason regardless. So when it does come from your own body, you have to be the reason behind it.
Yeah, and I think that even being the mother, you're responsible. You're the sole provider for these humans.
Right.
So I think it's 100% natural to have those thoughts. I've had to talk myself out of that thought process too, because you really can kind of spiral through thoughts
We've had
like that
conversation
so
a lot of
many times. so many times, and I've had to talk to B and just honestly anybody. I've had to have people talk me out of that. So I totally understand that.
The DNC needed to be scheduled. It was almost Thanksgiving, so we had to wait until after Thanksgiving.
Oh my fucking Christ. I cannot.
It would be a whole nother week of me, going through this. So her thought process was that we're going to schedule this DNC. Your body should hopefully, start this process, keep me posted, keep me updated. I'm on call. She gave me her cell phone number. Like I had everything just in case something happened, let's say on Thanksgiving. You know what I mean? So I was actually like I went deer hunting because I had a deer tag. And
naturally.
I just remember
what else was she gonna do?
Yeah. But like every day I could feel, the best way to describe it is a sloshing in my stomach.
God.
There was no stability. Everything, it felt sloppy. Like that's the best way I can put it. Like it was just, it was a very, very the hardest part about all of this was carrying around these 2 babies that were dead inside me for 3 weeks.
Oh my God.
Can I ask a question?
Yeah.
Did you ever give yourself moments to like grieve them? I think is what I'm trying to ask. Like, did you have moments where you had to like let yourself just completely let go and cry and cry and cry?
Yeah, after the procedure. I'll get there. I was pretty stoic through all of this because I didn't know how else to feel.
Right.
I've my whole entire life with it is what it is. Everything happens for a reason.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I've just like trained myself to almost not feel in some certain situations. So the day that the DNC was scheduled, I went in, and it's a total like they put you completely under. So I was completely under anesthesia to go in for that. The first thing that I can remember waking up after that is the extreme like letdown feeling in my boobs. So it felt like it was like my body was literally letting down, like it should be feeding a baby essentially. So like my body felt, my boobs, my everything felt like I had given birth essentially. So everything was sore. My body was like, why aren't we feeding this baby? So that was definitely, it was kind of that was one of the hardest points, like hardest parts of that was waking up and my body completely telling me that we need to be feeding a baby, and then my mind being like, no, we don't have a baby to feed or take care of.
It's weird that your body goes into that mode even after like a DNC. Like, is it because your placenta is delivered almost? I wonder. I don't know why that would happen. That's so weird.
I think it's just, I don't know.
It's all, I don't know. Hormone signaling.
Yeah, true.
I know that they give you essentially like a hormone, or they gave me like a hormone or something to mimic to start like contractions, essentially to help that process of my body aborting whatever, while they like, I don't know. It's kind of fuzzy. Like I don't remember everything super well.
Yeah.
But anyways, yeah. So I got the DNC, and we had a hunter that. Our one hunter was coming in that day, the day that I got my DNC done, and he was supposed to start hunting the next day. And he wanted to take Randy and I out and Bo for dinner. And so I remember literally driving from the hospital, going home, changing, and then going to this dinner.
Oh my God.
With a complete stranger that I didn't know. And I'm sitting there in like excruciating pain, like not excruciating, but like I'm in pain, like the afterbirth pain. and then my mental is totally like, I just had. So, anyways, that was an interesting dinner. Trying not to be awkward. The DNC was difficult, just feeling wise, but then honestly, the whole losing the twins, it was hardest for me to witness Randy's grief, like his grief going through this. There were multiple nights waking up. I would wake up to him, essentially quietly crying to himself, and mourning. So that was really hard, watching somebody that I love deeply go through that kind of pain. I, being like, having the mindset that I have, the way, I don't know, like it was hard. And when I see twins, like even now to this day, when I see twins, I get that like pang of sadness, like what my little boys could have been and what they could have grown up into. We don't know. They never told us exactly what, they didn't know the gender, but we knew that they were identical. And being that they both had the heart problems makes me like, I just feel like
I didn't know they had heart problems.
We don't know. We just know that the hearts weren't developed. So the hearts were not developed like they should have been, and that's essentially what they believe.
I didn't know that.
Their hearts weren't developing. Which I don't know. I just like, predominantly there tend to be more heart problems in males. But just being mom, me myself, like I feel like they were both boys, and we did know that they were going to be identical, like they were identical twins. The way Mother Nature and all of that works, and the way we were made as mothers, until that baby is literally in your hands and you're holding it. It's not that you don't love the babies, and it's not that I didn't love the babies that I was making, but it's like one of those things, like until they're in your arms, you don't have that physical love. I don't know how to explain.
No, yeah, I know that feeling.
Yeah.
It's not like real, and
Right.
it doesn't like fully set in until you physically see them.
So, anyways, yeah, that was the twins. It's definitely one of those things that I don't have an issue talking. It doesn't make me uncomfortable. I don't like making other people uncomfortable, because I feel like when I say that I lost twins, everybody's like, "Oh, I'm so sorry."
Mm-hmm.
It's like it is okay. I don't want to make you feel weird, because I'm okay with it. Like,
Yeah, I know that feeling all too well.
And then after the twins, after that, Randy and I tried for another, I want to say year and a half, 2 years, because we always wanted two babies, and so we had Bo. We continued to try and try and try. I don't know if it was me. I don't know if it was him. I don't know exactly what the issue was, but it's like every period I'd just be waiting and waiting and waiting. And then there was a couple periods where I'd be a week late, and I'd be like, okay, maybe this is the one. And every single time my period would freaking start. And so, yeah, a year and a half to 2 years of continuing to try. And it got to the point where I was like, okay, we're going to stop trying now. Like, we'll get one more month. And then you're getting a vasectomy, and we're going to be happy, and everything in Bo is perfect, and we don't need anything else. That's just how it's meant to be. So yeah, we were giving it one more month. And then I ended up getting pregnant. That, like, literally the last month that we wanted to try is when I ended up getting pregnant. So that was super exciting. I knew immediately that it was going to be a girl. Randy knew immediately that it was going to be a girl. He was actually in Alaska when I found out that I was pregnant. And he had told me, I think it was like 2 or 3 days after I found out that, I officially found out that I was pregnant. I knew that I was pregnant. Just like, I was just kind of trying not to be hopeful, because of all the other times where I was like hopeful and hopeful and hopeful, and it didn't happen. And then finally this time I'm like, well, I'm not going to be hopeful, even though I know it, but I'm going to continue to be like, oh, I don't know, maybe. Anyways. So in Alaska, we didn't have service, so we have to use the Garmin InReach, and I had gotten a text.
Not sponsored.
Huh?
Not sponsored.
No, not sponsored. No. Anyways, yeah, he had messaged me, telling me about a dream he had about us having a little girl, And I was
Weird.
like, oh yeah, I'm sure, yeah, someday it's gonna happen. Because I didn't want to tell him that I was pregnant while he was in Alaska. I wanted it to be a surprise.
Oh my gosh, you knew. That's so crazy.
Yeah, that's weird.
Yeah, I was definitely kind of a head case with River. I was a lot more mellow with Bo. With River, my emotions were freaking all over the place. I was I I was a little bit psychotic. I had some issues with trying to control my emotions with River for sure. But anyways, he came home, and the first thing he hugs me, and then he looks at me, and he's like, "Are you pregnant?"
No kidding.
Through the door, and like I hadn't told him, I hadn't said anything. Which again, also like for one, he had been having the dreams. For two, he just knows me so well. And I said, I was kind of a head case, and he was in Alaska, and I was here, and I'm going through all of these emotions and hormones, and trying to be understanding about where he is and what he's doing, because I always am. Like that's just something that it's okay that I don't mind that he's in Alaska and far away, but for some reason, my hormones and everything so he had a inkling. He's like, usually you don't act like that. Usually you're a lot more level-headed than that. So yeah, he asked me if I was pregnant, and I said yes. And that was that. The pregnancy went really smooth with her. I didn't have any issues. I worked all the way up until so I have like our business that we run, and then I also work for a taxidermist. So I was working for the taxidermist. This was over winter. She was born March 29th. But I worked all the way up until a week before I had her. I kind of had that inkling feeling like I was getting to the point where I was literally standing up, falling asleep at work. So I was like, okay, probably time for me to just hang out at home because it's getting close. I remember the night that I ended up going into labor. I had been off work for like 4 days, and I knew it was coming, and I was just like literally just like that waiting game. So I put on a video from YouTube, like go into labor video or whatever, that kind of thing. So I did like this little workout, and went to bed. And I remember at 2:00 in the morning, I went to just roll over. Like I was asleep, and I went to roll over in my sleep, and I felt a pop, and immediately woke up and went to the bathroom, and yep, sure as shit, my water had broke. So that one I did feel in here, where I did not with Bo, but with River, like it was blatantly obvious. I literally rolled over and felt a pop, and I was like, oh man.
Oh man.
And it was a blizzard, of course, and so having to drive the steamboat. So it took us a little bit longer to drive the steamboat, but I think we got to the hospital around 4. Water broke at 2. Got to the hospital around 4, I think. And then ended up having her at 3:47 p.m. Yeah, 3:47 p.m. And again, all natural. With her, it was 10 times easier. Like I knew my body better. Randy knew me better. Like I stayed on my feet pretty much the whole entire time. I didn't sit down. I was doing like step ups and squats. The nurse that was that was in there, the day nurse, she was wonderful. She was showing me different things to help alleviate some of the contractions in my back and that kind of thing. So that actually with River, the whole delivery process went way smoother with her. I was in labor for 13 hours. I don't know. I can't remember. You guys do the math, but anyways,
Not me.
Yeah. So with River, it was funny because there was a bunch of like the nurses in training or whatever, and everybody's like, "Oh my gosh, you're just so stoic. You're so is it okay if this nurse, in training comes in and watches and asks questions?" And I'm like, "Sure, I'll be whatever you want to. You guys can come in and watch me." So that was interesting, but they were all nice. But then after River was born, so I did not know that when they take them in to do the hearing test, the eyesight test, and all of that, I didn't know because I didn't with Bo, so I didn't know you could go with them. And when they took River, She was gone for a little over an hour, and then the nurse came back without her and was like, well, when we were trying to do the hearing test, she started crying, and then she stopped breathing, and then she turned blue. So
What?
now we have oxygen, and she's going to have to stay another night. And I was like, me and Randy are both like, what do you mean? She's healthy as shit. Like, we haven't had any issues. There was no jaundice. There was no nothing. Like, incredibly healthy little girl. Why all of a sudden does she need to be on oxygen? So then they let us go in and see her. And I met the nurse that had been like holding her or whatever, and they were explaining to me, they're like, well, she started crying, so then we just tried to give her a pacifier, and we were trying to put the pacifier in her mouth and just hold the pacifier in her mouth, and she kept crying harder and harder.
I hate when they do that
until
shit.
her face turned blue. And I'm literally just sitting here staring at them.
No one like picks her up.
That's why I never.
Everything in me, I'm trying to stay calm, because like that's one of those things, like, you do realize that all it takes to calm a itty bitty tiny little baby is comfort. Like, instead of trying to shove something in her mouth, maybe sit there and rock her, stop doing what you're doing, come get mom, come get dad.
Yeah, anything other than what you did.
Yeah.
Like, because I know 110% it is their
That's
fault.
crazy.
They got her worked up so hard, because she does it still to this day. She'll freaking sit there and she'll scream. You're like, okay, River, time to start breathing. Like, like a screamer, you know. Like, there's times, but it's like all it takes though. And even then, like that whole first night with her before she went in for that, she'd start crying and I'd start talking to her or pick her up or hold her, and it was immediately calm. Like, she was a very easily calmable baby. Like, she was very easy. So I know what they got her worked up, and they, you know, she's pissed. She was very easily pissed as well. Still is, but like easy to calm down, easy to piss off. Anyways, so yeah, they got her completely worked up, and they had to have her on oxygen. And it was an older nurse. And I can't remember exact conversations because I was so incredibly angry. I was literally just trying everything in me to not hit an old woman so that they couldn't tell me I couldn't be in there with my baby. You know, like Randy was worse. Like, Randy is sitting there like just like his leg is tapping. He looks like he's about ready to freaking kill somebody. So we had the nurse. So the one amazing nurse that I had came back in for the night shift, and she was like, oh, I wasn't expecting to see you guys again. And so we explained to her everything that happened. Like, she'd already been briefed, I'm sure. But we explained to her everything that happened. And so she immediately started lessening River's oxygen, because she's like, I know how healthy she was. Like, I don't think she needs to be. They had her on max oxygen. Like, there was no anyway. So she's like, she started bumping down that oxygen immediately and had her on no oxygen within, I think it was like 4 hours or 5 hours or something like that. Like, it was literally, they just got her so incredibly worked up. But with that being said, because all that happened, they ran test after test after test after freaking tests on her that night. Like, there was probably 5 or 6 different tests that they ran on her. And I'm sitting here like, okay, I as a mother know that my baby is healthy. I've known that she was healthy as soon as she came out, and now you're telling me that there's all these things that could be wrong. So then I'm like, my brain is going from like, I know my baby's healthy, and then I'm like, these poor women, and I'm not saying this is in every case, but these poor women that come in and these doctors are sitting here like, we need this, we need this, we need this, and they don't know, and they don't understand, and they're sitting here like fearing for their child's life because of everything that these doctors are saying. Because they don't know any better other than to listen to the doctor. Like, it is very easy to believe everything they say because they make you scared for either your life or your child's life.
Yeah, I've heard that they do, when they do the genetic testing. Is that what you got done?
No, I never did genetic testing.
So when they do that, though, I've heard...
The one from in utero, like where they actually take the amniotic fluid?
Yeah, I've heard that a lot of times they will tell you that your baby has Down syndrome, and it's a false positive, and a lot of women will abort. And it won't, they actually were not Down syndrome.
So one of the interesting things about that fact specifically, like, I'm very skeptical. I believe that, like, medicine definitely has its place. But at the same time, you should always get multiple opinions. You should always take everything with a grain of rice. You can't just accept one doctor's word as what it is.
Yeah.
And with that specifically, My son was born in South Dakota. My daughter was born in Wyoming. In South Dakota, my OB there pushed for like 5 appointments in a row for me to do the amniotic fluid test.
They do that,
and it's very invasive, and it goes kind of against my personal ethics, I guess, like just for me, something that's not something I wanted to do. And I had to repeatedly tell her that, and she pretty much just kept saying, well, your insurance covers it, your insurance covers it, your insurance covers it. And I was like, yeah, I don't need it. Well, and they try to paint it as, for example, maybe if Down syndrome's the case. Well, it's not because you want to abort, but you just, that way you can prepare to have a child with Down syndrome. And I was always just like, I'll cross that bridge when it gets there if that's the case. And because unfortunately, I think some people do utilize it as a tool for, what's that? What is it? Like eugenics or something, like clean gene. Yeah. You know what I mean? Yeah. And that, quite frankly, is gross. And what's interesting about that is, so I had one OB in one state pushing very hard for that test. I had to repeatedly tell her I did not want it. And then I had another OB in a totally different state, Dr. Vigneri. He was offering me the blood test for sex, which I just also don't do that. And I thought he was talking about the amniotic fluid test, and he realized what I was talking about, and he said, no, that's something totally different. He said, I do not believe in it. I do not offer it in my office.
Yeah, they
because
never
he does
that
not
to
believe
me.
it's safe. So I had one OB that was like very uncomfortably pushing me to get that done. And then I had another OB who did not even offer that service in his office.
Yeah, they never
he was so against
offered
it.
that to me.
Not
so
one
you
time. Always have to take things with a grain of rice for sure.
They pushed it both times for me. They wanted like with Bo, they wanted it, and I'm trying to remember. I didn't get it with Bo or River. I didn't get that with either of them. With River, I turned them down immediately. With Bo, they kept asking and asking, and I was like, I don't know, I don't know yet. And they kept pushing and pushing, and finally I said no on that one. I do remember that now. But yeah, they pushed that genetic testing or whatever on me. The Tdap shot, they pushed and pushed and pushed and pushed and pushed for that. I told them no. I don't know how many times I told them no. I don't want them.
They did that with me too, but I'm allergic to latex. Like, I have a mild allergy to it, and there's latex in that vaccine, and so they wouldn't give it to me. And that's all I had to say was like, nope, I'm allergic to latex, and they'd be like, oh, never mind, you can't have it. And I'm like, cool.
That's so crazy.
See, one important point that I want to add to that, like, the one that I remember was the vitamin K shot.
Yeah.
And when I had my son, initially I was thinking about declining the vitamin K shot. But another thing that's important to remember too is, as much as we want to be natural and this and that, as I had said a few minutes ago, there is a place for medicine, right? And so, like, one of the things that inspired me and Shai to want to have unmedicated births is we just kind of believe that our bodies are capable of that, because if women's bodies weren't capable of doing that, we would give birth a different way if we weren't capable of achieving that. At the same time, we do know that there's certain things that can either reduce or increase fatality in either mothers or infants at birth, right? And there's different things. Like, we know people that maybe have to have C-sections because their birthing canal literally will not allow for the birth of a child, so they can get pregnant but could die during childbirth. Whether you get them or whether you don't, there's risks either way, right? So if you don't want to get certain vaccines or certain shots, it's because you are worried about the risks associated with that, and at the same time there's risks on the other end. So, like, if the argument to not do it just for the vitamin K is, well, we've been having babies for thousands of years without vitamin K shots, and babies have been surviving for thousands of years. At the same time, how many babies have died because they did have a vitamin K deficiency and died of a brain bleed that is preventable? So is there possible risks maybe associated with a vitamin K shot? Okay, inform yourselves on them. Also understand that while it's a small percentage, there are babies born with vitamin K deficiencies, and if they have an internal bleeding in their brain, it's going to kill them.
I'm not going to get into vaccines or anything. I just don't vaccinate. I did get the vitamin K vaccine for her. That is the only shot River has ever had in her life, is the vitamin K. She has it's called a sacral dimple. So, right, like, essentially at the end of her spine there, where the tailbone is, she's got like a little hole, a little dimple. And it is very deep.
So that's one of the reasons why the doctor wanted to do like x-rays and stuff on her spine to make sure that didn't go all the way into the spinal spinal cord. Yeah, with the x-rays for her sacral dimple, I was 100% on board for that because I was like, I need to make sure 100% because like I had hip problems, I've had spine problems my whole life. I was like, this is something that's very important. So yeah, that whole side of things was good. Everything that they were putting her through because they worked her up and all of those tests, it's fine. Like it's fine. It really is fine. But it was completely
unnecessary.
Yeah. And then they were just stacking up all these tests and all these, which costs a lot of money. I remember that was hard because I had her on March 29th, and we were supposed to be home the day before Easter, and then we ended up being like having to stay extra, so I missed Easter with Bo and everybody else. And Bo, like Easter is one of Bo's favorite holidays. I'm sitting in the chair bawling all night, because I'm not with Bo and River's here on oxygen, and it was a very, very stressful couple days. For as smooth as the whole pregnancy and delivery and everything went, that was ridiculous. That was the worst part by far.
Yeah, that's crazy.
But then we got her, we got her home and everything's good. She's a very healthy little girl. She's always been healthy, and I call her my little Sour Patch Kid because she's very, very sour and then very sweet most of the time.
The last appointment that we had with Vigneri, we scheduled an induction. We scheduled that, and we did it for my due date was August 4th of 2019. But Vigneri said he was going to be out of town or some shit. So then we scheduled it on July 30th, went in at 9 p.m. and my experience was completely different. Like everything that you guys have talked about, like I did not experience because they wanted it to be as comfortable as possible because nobody knew what to do.
Yeah.
I don't think any of them had any experience with hypoplastic left heart syndrome, and especially with just giving birth naturally and like letting George go whenever he was going to go.
Right,
so
because they're more used to like people either aborting,
going to Denver,
or doing.
Everybody went to Denver. They just don't. Also, I don't know if I mentioned this before, but we had to get permission. Like Vigneri had to talk to the people at the hospital to get permission to
allow George to be born.
Yeah, because they didn't know if they were like gonna be comfortable with it because they were inexperienced, is my understanding. So anyways, they were wonderful. I talked to the main lady, and those like birthing classes that people go to the hospital and you get the tour and whatever. I don't know. I didn't do any of that. So I met with Jen. She was wonderful. Fast forward to getting to the hospital, 9 p.m. They give me the Pitocin and that stuff to soften my cervix to try and like start this labor process. Well, I remember it was so painful to get my cervix checked. It hurt so bad, and I don't do well with pain at all. I never have. So I like thought that I was going to try to do it naturally. And then Vigneri was like, I need to check you now. And this was way later. And same thing with me, that some of it is like blurry because it was just so much going on for us. But I told Vigneri that if you want to check me, I'm going to need that epidural because I was so sensitive. But also, that Pitocin,
I think it
varies. The Pitocin and the stuff to soften your cervix, like, and there was so much going on, and I was on fentanyl too. Like,
maxed out.
This shit, like, hurt me so bad. I remember it was excruciating pain. Like, and I didn't know if that was normal or not because I didn't know.
The contractions are way intense with
it was like so bad. Yeah, it was so bad. And so they allowed me to get the epidural, and then he checked me, and I don't even remember what he said. I still had a long ways to go. So when I got the epidural, it was so early in the morning, and I did not sleep that night, on the night of the 30th and into the early morning of the 31st. And my partner at the time was just sleeping so soundly.
Of course.
So soundly, like didn't wake up for anything. I'm like, fuck off. Anyways, so, you know, I'm all way drugged up. I had taken a nap. I took this nap, woke up to Jen. I had wonderful nurses. She put all the best nurses on my team, which was really great. She went to go put the catheter in, and they gave me the epidural, but I had a hot spot, so I got a second dose of the epidural.
You had
so
a
I was
hot
super.
spot?
I had a hot spot, so that's where it's working everywhere else except one
you have
area.
one spot that it's not.
One spot, and it was my left side.
Like your hip.
It was like, it felt like my whole side over here. Like, it honestly felt like my ovary. It felt like my ovary was going to combust. Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
It felt like my freaking ovary was going to combust, and it was so bad. So gave me the second one, and I think that's when I fell asleep. She went to go put the catheter in, and she said, "Oh, well, we can't put the catheter in." I'm like, "Why?" And she goes, "Well, his head is right there. He's crowning."
Aww.
And I was like, "Oh my God, this is happening." Like, I didn't even have time to mentally prepare. I mean, I did,
so
you know, but
feel anything at all. You had no
not
idea
after the second one.
that
No,
he was dropped.
I didn't know anything. I remember I really wanted my mom. I know I've mentioned that before, but I really wanted my mom there. But it did go by really fast, and I bled a lot. But I only had a 1st-degree tear, which was good. I think that's good. 3rd degree is really bad, right?
Did you guys all tear?
I had a 1st-degree tear. They had to sew me a little bit, but I don't like to think about that because that's gross.
Yeah.
Did you tear?
I can't remember if it was greater.
She did one teeny tiny little half stitch. And then on River, I didn't tear at all. She said I had what was the word? A laceration, maybe? Like
an abrasion.
Not a full tear, but
an
like
abrasion.
A stretch enough to where it was stretched enough. There was anyways, I didn't have to have any stitches or anything, and one half stitch with bow.
So, everything was really like untraditional, I guess, you know. There was a lot of things that we didn't do. Like, I didn't do any of the shots. I didn't do the glucose test because it really, like, it didn't matter. We knew what was going to happen.
Right.
And we chose not to do medical intervention at all. So even with the heart monitor, we all collectively decided, me and my nurses and my doctor, decided not to do that, because if I see that, like, he was,
Right.
Yeah.
Yep.
If I saw that he was, like, in distress at all and something happened, then it was just best that I didn't know. And they were really, like, I was so blessed with the team that I had. So amazing. And Vigneri, let me side note, did not go out of town, him and his wife. They did not go out of town for me, which was really beautiful. And he made sure that he was there for me. He was so wonderful. Oh, he makes me want to cry too. I went to his funeral, by the way. It was fucking awful. And they were so respectful of every decision that I made. And it was really great because they listened to me and not my partner. You know, which in hindsight now was really great. I think they kind of got an idea of the type of person that he was.
It comes across pretty
quickly.
Mm-hmm.
It really does. And so they asked me the questions. It wasn't an us thing. So yeah, I gave birth to my little tiny tot, my little baby George, and they, you know, cleaned him up. I don't remember if they put the stuff on his eyes. I highly doubt it because it didn't matter, you know. And the thing is that, like, none of us knew if it was gonna be 30 minutes, if it was an hour, if it was gonna be like 24 hours. We had no idea. So we just kind of let George be as comfortable as possible, as painless as possible. He didn't get poked with anything. We didn't circumcise him, obviously.
No. Yeah.
Like, it just no unnecessary pain for either of us. Like, And I said, no needles under any circumstances unless it's necessary, which, I had to have my fluids and the epidural was necessary. But yeah, and then they, cleaned him up and stuff. And I didn't know really that you still had to give birth to the placenta.
Yeah.
I didn't know that. So they I think that took a couple hours though for that to happen. I think, if I remember correctly.
Hours for you to pass your placenta?
Honestly, all of the timing is just, it probably wasn't.
Yeah,
because as that was going on, like, my legs are still spread and everything, but George was on me, and I took a picture exactly 1 hour after he was born. It was so cute, because when I was looking back at all those pictures, it was at 1:15, and I had no idea. So, and he had this little constellation. My mom actually got that for me. It was this constellation, like, what are they called?
Like a
swaddle.
blanket,
Yeah, the swaddle blankets, and that was he was wearing, and his little green and white beanie, I think it was. But they put him on me, and I was so out of it. I don't even know why I did this, but I kept singing him Three Little Birds by Bob Marley. I just kept singing that song over and over and over. I think I probably sang it 4 times in the whole song, and it was just so great. And then finally, my mom got to come in, and my mom and dad, and it was really special. My partner had a little girl, still does, I guess, but had a little girl that I helped raise for a while. And so everybody got to come in. Bill came up about like 5 hours later, my best friend, my absolute best friend. That was the tiniest baby he ever held, so it was really special. We stayed in the hospital for a while, and they gave us this option of these 2 medicines, and I don't remember what they were called, but one of them was like an anti-anxiety, and then the other one was like infant morphine. And the infant morphine was to help if he did start showing signs of passing. We could give it to him. It would just calm him down a little bit more, which I loved that idea. So it was the day after I had George, we had experimented just to see, and I wanted to, with the like anxiety infant medication or whatever, and that was awful.
Were they like oral drops?
I don't remember. I don't remember. The morphine was, I think, because we ended up taking it home, and it was something I could administer to him. And you know me, I would not do a needle, especially on my child. Like, no. So we gave him these meds, and it was so terrifying. It was so terrifying because he was just, it looked like we were looking at his corpse. Like, his eyelids were like half open. He was just like fucked up.
Oh my God.
And so we thought,
is that the anxiety
yeah,
or morphine, or was it both?
the anxiety. I think it might have been both. And it was just too much. I hated that. It was too much for his little body. And so we were really messed up because we thought he was going to pass that day. And so
the day you got home?
No, we weren't home yet. We were still in the hospital. And I had been keeping up with my biological dad's kids, my siblings. And so Landry, my little sister, and her mom drove all the way from Akron, Colorado. That's about a 6-hour drive. And they drove up that night, stayed for maybe an hour or 2, and then drove back that same night to see George.
Oh, wow.
Oh, it was like, yeah. I love Jenny. She was really great. He didn't die. He did really great. He kind of just like it wore off, and we were in the hospital for probably, I think it ended up being 5 or 6 days. And like George just didn't die. And so they told me that I couldn't stay in the hospital, but since George was still a patient, that we could stay. And then I think it was day 5 or 6 that George was doing like fairly well for the circumstances, and my partner and I had decided to take him home and just try and live as normally as possible. And so we did, and he didn't have to do the little like car seat test, but he looked so cute. so cute. He was so tiny in this little car seat and like we didn't have anything because we didn't know if he was gonna be alive. So we had so many people donate these car seats. They donated clothes. They went out and got us clothes. There was people who raised up a lot of money just to help take care of George as long as he was alive. So we had a hospice nurse, Mel, also fantastic. So she, right before we left, we had talked about when I did take him home that it was inevitable that George was going to pass. And so she had given me a heads up about the signs, about what it would look like. It would probably take about 12 hours, and it did, for George to pass. There were things, so she would like give me a heads up and told me about how she would come every day as long as I wanted and count his breaths and his heartbeat, and that just became part of our routine even at home. And yeah, it was so bittersweet. Obviously, I remember I my partner had went back to work, of course. I stayed home with the kids, and I would take our daughter to school, and then George and I would come back and hang out, and he was really good. He was amazing. He lived longer than anybody thought that he would without medical intervention. It ended up being 51 days. And I remember,
this is with zero medical intervention.
yeah, none.
For one time, or the like the anxiety stuff that you gave.
Yep.
Other than that,
Yep.
at the very beginning, this is nothing. This is him, his little soul. His
Yeah.
little, you know.
And it was great. And I'm not a religious person by any means. My parents, my adopted parents are, but in that circumstance, I mean, my parents had people legitimately all over the world, from Laos to South Africa to England to the East Coast. I mean, all around the world, people were praying to whatever God they believed in for my son. And I think that that is such an incredible and beautiful thing for so many people to focus their energy on something so incredible. So that was great. And I really do believe that that's a big reason why he lived as long, because so many people were rooting for him.
100%.
But fast forward to the day that we lost George's physical body, he had shown signs the night before, but I'm a mom and you don't want to believe that. You don't want to think about that, you know? So I like knew that these were the signs, but I wanted it to be something else. It was just like normal baby stuff. He had thrown up on his little baby blankie, and I remember knowing that it was not normal, that this was like not okay, because it was like chalky. It wasn't like normal spit up. And so, you know, regular routine. My partner would sleep in the bedroom and I would sleep on the couch because I didn't want to wake him up in the middle of the night, because he had to work early in the morning at 7. And so I would just keep my maternity pillow on the outside and George would sleep in the like crook of my arm and did amazing. And I also want to just talk about real quick that there was this one morning. It was like 5:13 in the morning, and George, it was all about energy preservation. And so, you know, we did everything to prevent him from crying, and I nursed, which was one of the biggest things that I wanted to experience as a new mom. And so he nursed for a couple weeks as long as he could, but it just took too much energy out of him. So I ended up having to pump, and then we had to do formula because I like dried up. And I was pumping this one morning, and my little sister, so cute, she had this like baby doll like rocker, and mind you, we didn't have anything because we didn't prepare for it, you know. She had this rocker that was for her dolls, and she donated it to little baby George. And so I put him in there, and he really liked that thing. But I was like double pumping, and I had my foot, and I was like rocking him so he would be okay. And he started like talking. He like found his voice, and it was so loud. And I still have that video. I thought he was gonna wake everybody up because he was like so loudly talking, and he looked so happy. It was so sweet. And I hurried up and I got my phone and I got to record just a little bit of it. And it is my favorite video because, you know, he just looked so cute. And anyways, so that morning he like had woken up a few times, and I still like feel really kind of guilty about it because I remember getting so frustrated because I was so tired. I got so frustrated with him because he just wanted to eat, I think. But he was actively dying, and I got so upset with him. And then I remember my partner had went to work, like kissed us goodbye, and it must have been like an hour-ish later, and I woke up and I looked at George, and he was not okay. He was like, he looked the same but a little bit worse as he did when we gave him that medication, and he was almost like hiccuping when he was breathing, and I knew. And so I had texted my partner, and that was a whole thing, that my partner worked like 5 minutes away from where we were, and his work is so family oriented, and his boss especially was like, do anything that you need to do for your family, take as much time as you need. And I think in the man's thought process, you're going to provide for your family, which is understandable. But I had texted a picture and a video, and I was like, he's going to die and I'm going to be the only one here. And his response back was, what do you want me to do about it? And so I absolutely did say, nothing. Fuck you. I'll handle this myself. Don't even fucking worry about it. And so you would think in that moment, and I had not taken our daughter to school yet, and I didn't want her to be there because I knew what was going to happen. And so I texted Mel, and because I was on my way to take our daughter to school, I texted Mel, our hospice nurse, and she said, you need to let me know as soon as you're home, because she knew. And she beat me there. She beat me to the house, and we went inside, and I was freaking out because he was going to die. And it was just me and Mel and George. And I remember, like, he had died. And don't cry. Don't cry. I wanted to give him that morphine, but he had already passed, so she had said that I needed to call my partner, and because he already passed away, and that's exactly what happened, though, that he did die, and I was the only one there. So my partner came home, and we grieved, and I held him as long as I possibly could, and yeah, and that was little George. And they the funeral director personally came and picked George up and took really good care of him, but I gave him a bath because he hated baths. He hated baths so much. He hated being naked. He didn't even like his diaper being changed. He peed on me all the time. And so
you were like, now's my chance.
I was like, I'm doing it now. Can't pee on me now. Dramatic comedy, I'm just saying. Yeah. So yeah, I gave him a bath, and I put on my favorite onesie that he had in his little hat, and I made sure that he was buried with my grandma on my adopted dad's side had brought a frog. She loves frogs, and so there was a little stuffed animal of this frog, and his little constellation blanket that that my mom, his very first baby blanket, I made sure that he was buried in that. And I'm a spiritual person, so he's always in the stars. Yeah. And it's so funny. I just put it together that I got that constellation tattoo with my ex.
Yeah.
And I knew we weren't going to be together. And so I was like, I'll do this constellation because, and I got it right above George's tattoo.
Yeah.
Because it's the Cassiopeia constellation and it's of love. And I just put it together that that was his first baby blanket and he was buried with that baby blanket. And I know that constellation was on it.
Sure.
So yeah,
Well,
little baby George defied all odds.
Ray Boy picks up every frog that he would see in
Stop.
South Carolina, dude. I have like a million pictures of him holding frogs.
Oh, they're all connected. All of our kids, I swear. And I just know that George, I know he's gonna be looking over all of these kids.
Oh yeah.
All of my little babies. And I don't think I will. I don't think I want any more kids. And I think I shared my body with the person I needed to, and that I love kids so much, and I love babies, but that was such a special and rare experience that I want to hold on to that forever.
Yeah.
I don't think I want to experience anything other than that because it was so tragic and traumatic in so many ways. But it was also so beautiful. Like, I'm really glad that I had such a rare birth story. And my son is just the most perfect human being that has ever existed and will ever exist in my life.
Well, and like when you know that every single day could be his last, like you're gonna just
Oh yeah.
It's so much more precious.
Oh yeah. Cherish every second.
Yeah.
I remember
and I think
9/11.
that's what's important to understand behind your decision of why you guys handled things the way you did. Like, I won't go into, all the details of, like, because we've had so many conversations about it, but, like, certain things that you were worried about. And that I always just remember you saying, even with surgeries, there was a risk of him passing away.
Yeah.
And that if he was going to pass away, you wanted it to be in the warmth of your arms.
Yeah.
And that was like one of the most significant things is that was what in his final moments he was in his mom's arms,
Yeah, and he was. And I think even like I resent my partner for so many different reasons, and I'm not at the point of forgiving him yet by any means. There were really good moments. There were really good moments when there were really good little moments. And like even right after we even found out about George's heart and that he wasn't going to survive, I think there was about 3 weeks that was just everything that I wanted. However, when it all comes down to it, it's like I felt so alone in a good way. Like I remember holding my belly and like crying and saying, I'm so sorry that this is the person that I chose to be your dad. I'm so sorry because whether he wants to admit it or not, like I know my experience and I was like experimenting in journaling and I actually like had found a journal and I had wrote so much about it when I was pregnant and it was so sad. So sad, but I really do think that things happen the way that they needed to. And me being alone with George, I felt so alone during my pregnancy that it was just me, him, and our daughter. But really, like me and him, because that's my biological kid, And yeah, so many of those beautiful moments I experienced by myself, like George waking up in the morning and like talking and like yelling, and that's the only time he ever did it. I was alone.
That's so precious, though. Yeah, I see what you mean by saying it was in a good way.
Yeah.
It wasn't a good way, and because he was not a good person, in my opinion. I don't think that my partner is a good person, and it was just, I don't know, it was just me and George against the world, and I told him that when he was inside of me all the time, like it's you and me, and I would play classical music for him, specifically Claire de Lune. I really think he loved it because he got really active whenever I played
really
it.
need to understand the gift that George gave you with his time being here. Like it was a genuine miracle that you got to spend 51 days with him. A genuine miracle. Not even knowing if you were not expecting to take him home.
Yeah.
And getting to hold him for 51 days. Like, was
And
actually
I didn't even have, like, I wasn't talking to anybody, and I still don't talk to really anybody on my biological mom's side of the family. The people that I grew up with, the people that should have been there for me and with me, I didn't tell them because we didn't have good relationships with each other. My mom, the people that I call mom and dad, Marie and Joe, they were very much there. My partner had isolated me, and it was my choice too. Like, that part wasn't just him, but those 51 days were incredible, and I, didn't have my best friends with me physically, but I really did have so many incredible people. Like, they didn't even have to talk to me. Like, I remember this Leah, I'm pretty close with her. She would just drop me off a coffee, like doing little things like that, and then like 51 days, and we didn't even think that we would get a full hour.
Yeah.
So, when I tell people that story, it is sad, and of course we're going to cry because that's our little babies, I got to spend 51 days with my child. Like,
and not only that, Abigail, you gave him the absolute most perfect.
Well, I think I could have done better in a lot of ways, but
life.
You did the best with what you had at the time.
Yeah.
You gave him the most perfect, loving life that he could have ever asked for, because the whole entire time you grew him, and then he was there with you.
Yeah.
All he ever knew.
He was my best friend,
Was your love and your affection, and so like.
It's weird to say that he's my best friend, but he was like.
Hours. He lived 51 days.
Yeah.
And you gave him the most perfect life he could have ever. The most life.
I mean, and I was young too. I was so young, being 22 and having this baby and dealing with all of that. I mean, we've all had some pretty rough lives, and then just going through something like that too. I think you kind of just go through the motions, and I'm really grateful that I had the hospital team that I did, and Vigneri too, because they were like my brain during all of that. Like, they were my coaches. They guided me through the whole thing. I would not have known anything. And like I said, my partner at the time wasn't completely terrible, just mostly. But I think looking back and being almost 29 now, this will be 7 years without George. It is. It's so crazy. But, it's just been a wild ride. And George was and still is like my best friend, my companion, and I do feel him all the time. And I talk about him every day. I always find some way, just like Taylor Swift, I find some way to bring them into conversation. And it's great. And I still have all of his baby stuff. But anyways, that's the story of little baby George. And also, I want to side note that name was chosen for a specific reason. My partner's dad's side of the family came from the island of Crete, and so they're Greek, and it's tradition in their family to name the firstborn after the grandfather, and so George is named after George Sr., and he tried to tell me that I didn't have to name my son that, and I said, first of all, I am not going to be the person to get cursed for breaking this family tradition, and second of all, I couldn't think of a better man to name my son after. Yeah. He still will reach out to me every now and then, and there for probably the first year that George passed, George Sr. would go to his grave every single day. Every single day. Also, can I side note a little traumatic effing incident that happened while George was born and we were in the hospital and didn't know if he was going to die? I specifically did not want my child baptized because I didn't want to waste any time. and I don't care what God you believe in, if you're going to damn an infant for not being baptized, I'm not really interested in that God anyways.
Yeah.
So the pastor of their church at the time really, 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 really was pushing me to get George baptized. And my partner and I had said no. We had agreed on it for so long. And it came the day when I was in the hallway. I was in the hallway talking to the hospice nurse about what it would look like when my son passed. Really heavy stuff. We were in the hallway. My partner comes up, interrupts our conversation, and says, "Hey, I know you're going to be really mad, but my whole
Perfect
family is in the room with Father Stephen, and we're doing the baptism."
What?
And his like 80-something-year-old grandma came all the way up to the hospital, was in a freaking wheelchair, and so really guilt tripped me.
That is insanity.
And I was so pissed. And it's like, I was so pissed because you betrayed me. And you betrayed every talk that we ever had about not doing this, because I didn't want to waste that time. If people wanted to come up and like hold George, that was one thing. But you completely disrespected me. Wow. Completely.
After you had made an agreement.
We had agreed upon this. And you, by even coming to me and saying that I know you're going to be mad, but like, no, I'm the mother. Yeah. I'm the one taking care of the child.
After also not allowing you to have your birth the way you wanted it. Yep.
Yeah, I wanted my mom in the room. And I remember I had told my partner that. And he said no.
Yeah.
Because we were adults.
And the baby.
Yeah, because we were adults and that we didn't need to do that. I'm 22.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, yeah, so I had to
Seriously.
Yeah. 33.
That's so
33.
Weird.
So I had to sit through this, and I don't know if anybody knows how these things go in the Greek Orthodox Church, but it is not quick. It is not quick. And I don't give a shit if it was even 5 minutes. That was 5 minutes too long for me. No. I said no. Yeah. And my partner's sister, his older sister, was there, and she knew, and she had my back the whole time. But in that case, we couldn't just be like, oh, go. But she was definitely an advocate for me, and she was watching my face the whole time. And I just locked eyes with her because I knew I was going to start swearing. And I couldn't do that. I had to hold my composure. Oh, and also, let me side note that my partner would bring his friends into my room, mine and George's room, and get drunk. And we're drunk, would sneak in beers and
well, you guys
sneak
were there
in alcohol.
5 days. How could he not?
I mean, you can't go that long.
Oh my god.
Why would you? What else were you gonna do? Wow. You know, and I'm like not sleeping because I don't want my child to die in the middle of the night, you know? So yeah, definitely go ahead and get drunk and bring your friends up to the hospital room where our son is dying. But you do whatever you need to do to ease the pain, because I can't do that because I'm nursing.
Like, for people that don't know you or haven't been through this entire thing with you, as comfortable as it seems, like as comfortably as you can talk about this now, this took a while to get to this place. Like, it's not like it was always this easy. And I think the only reason we're able to do it is because we have always made a point to talk about George. And I remember when me and Memphis were first living with you, when his dad was in prison. And we were, for our first lesbian couple happy family.
Yeah. Good times.
And we had some nights, man. And we had some nights. And I remember making it a point of like, we will talk about George. Because in times of grief, whether, you know, it's Shy's experience or you losing your mom, you losing your child, like, when you stop talking about people who have passed away, and you make talking about that person an uncomfortable topic, it's a disservice to you. It's a disservice to that loved one. Yeah. When if you only talk about them, it's painful. When you talk about them, it's only uncomfortable. You have to be comfortable, like, accepting death is a part of life. Yep. And sometimes it comes when we're 60, and sometimes it comes, you know, in infancy.
Yeah.
And you have to, part of loving them, and I genuinely, truly believe part of keeping them alive and their
I
soul
agree
alive
100%.
is talking about them.
Yeah, well,
and
then
that's why Memphis kicks his little feet on George's little tombstone while he eats an apple.
Yeah,
and
he does. He will
does,
sit
dude.
right up on there.
He just gets up there and he plays cards.
Yes, he does. And he always brings him a snack. And he always brings him a toy every year
for his birthday.
Yep. And his flowers. They always do that.
I think one thing too that's helped me just in the grand scheme of things, because I feel like I have an existential crisis like once a week. But I remember one time I told you, I was like, I don't understand what the fuck the point is. Like, why are we all here if we just die? Because I was, it was really hard grieving my mom. And you said if everybody just lived forever, then we wouldn't cherish life.
Yeah.
And I mean, it sucks. It's so traumatic.
It's hard,
the way
but
he
it's
went,
so
but
true.
You cherished his life so much
I've
more.
always said that. I've always said, especially because I've experienced death so firsthand now for me, that I have such a different understanding of life.
Mm-hmm.
And then the other thing is that, when I was grieving, I stayed in bed for a couple days, as one would, which my partner had a problem with, because I still had living family that I needed to take care of.
Get your ass out of bed.
Yeah. And so anyways, I was grieving, and for me, I'm a very mental person. Like, I have to talk myself through situations, and I have to think about every single scenario, and I gotta just let it out. And some days I still have that. But one of the things that I really thought about was like, this is such a way to appreciate life. And with that is, I do believe in ghosts, and I believe in spirits, and I really do believe that our loved ones are around, and like,
One of them just knocked those books off the shelf.
Yeah. And you know what? I wasn't scared in any way, shape, or form.
I was just scared because it looked like something was coming at us.
It looked like something had come out of the bathroom. That's what it was.
She probably was.
She?
I think. I get sleep paralysis, and I had an experience in that exact room with an old lady, and I wasn't scared, but she told me that there were some little kids that were locked in the basement across the street.
Oh my God! Should we investigate
I've thought about it so many times, but I'm like, I can't pinpoint which house it is.
Dude,
it's one of two. Yeah, across the street. It's like one of two. And then there was one night where I was coming out of my car, and across the street I'll point it out to you when you leave, and I think what I was seeing was just this like light post that was in the yard. I really looked like a person watching me, and I got scared. But I was trying to do intimidation tactics. I'm like staring it down.
Oh my God.
Anyways, so I very much believe that George is always around me, and it's just a feeling. I just feel it in my soul that he's not every second, but always just there. And I started thinking about the type of person that I wanted to be while he's watching me, like live my life.
You're honoring him.
Yeah, and I didn't want it to completely devastate and destroy me. And that was one of those things that I just thought about. So now everything that I do, I want to make him proud. Apparently not in relationships, because I can't get that figured out, but here we are. One thing at a time.
We'll get there. We still have a lot of time.
So, yeah, and I thought about George a lot when I was in Norway, too. Like, not just because his birthday was during that time, but Norway really changed, like, I think a part of my soul, and, like, really expanded this little, like, universe inside of me, because I'd never been anywhere, and I felt George's presence with me more than I had in a really, really long time. And it was a really fucked up time. It was like really horrible, to be honest. But once I was able to like separate like the things that I was going on with the person I was there with, it was everywhere I went, in the glaciers, and this I hiked in like barefoot in this moss to a lake. It took a couple hours, but I felt his presence there so much, and that was my favorite place that I went is Norway. It changed everything for me. And George is there in Norway, and I will get back to Norway because it was fucking amazing.